Chapter 82, Luxurious Shopping 3. Brother, we have already spent over $70,000 on skincare products. How much money is left on the card? All items we have bought add up to over $300,000. Walking out from the Lancome shop, Wuxia had a few other things in his hands. Currently, his hands were full of bags. However, with his current strength, it was an easy task to carry all these. Let's go on. We haven't gotten any shoes. Wuxia smiled. He was also very delighted to see his sister being so jubilant. This was the first time he could buy her things without reserve. There's a watch shop right there. You guys can go and take a look first while I organize the things in my hands. There are too many bags right now, Wuxia said to his sister. Senior, let us help you with some of those, Xiaomi said, feeling a little embarrassed. Wuxia shook his head and smiled. It's fine. These aren't heavy anyway. Go and take a look first while I organize these. Alright, I'll go with Xiaomi then. Brother, you can be our bodyguard today. Hee. Xiaoyu smiled as she pulled along Xiaomi into the Patek Philippe watch shop. When the two of them entered, they saw a group of familiar people immediately. Jiang Shuang was in front of the cabinet trying out the watches. The price of this watch is a little over $37,000. It's a discounted item in our shop and looks great on you, the store attendant said to Jiang Shuang. Jiang Shuang looked at the watch on her and was truly fond of it. However, her family only gave her $60,000 this time. If she bought this, she would be a little tight on money. Therefore, she was a little hesitant. Why did they follow us here? At this moment, a guy behind her was surprised to see Xiaoyu and Xiaomi walk into the shop. We didn't follow you guys here. We are here to take a look at our own accord. Xiaomi looked at them and said. Xiaoyu saw Zhao Wenrui and the group look over but didn't pay attention to them. She walked over to the cabinet in front of her and started looking at the watches within it. These watches are so expensive. Xiaoyu was a little shocked by the prices of these watches. As compared to luxury bags, the prices of watches were even more eye-popping. Just a casual watch would cost $30,000 to $40,000. There were even some that cost over $100,000 or even several hundreds of thousands. Patek Philippe is a world-class watch brand. A good watch could cost as much as a luxury car, Xiaomi reminded her from the side. Xiaoyu's jaw dropped open. She looked into the cabinet and saw a watch that cost $80,000. This watch is so beautiful. Hey salesgirl, can you take this out for us to take a look? Xiaomi said to a salesgirl standing at the side. Tisk shameless. At this moment Jiang Shuang, who was sitting a short distance away and trying out a watch, looked over at Xiaoyu and Xiaomi with deep contempt. You guys should take a look at the price of the watch. Can you guys even afford it? Taking a look? Can you all pay for it if you scratch it? When the salesgirl heard what Jiang Shuang said, she looked at Xiaomi and Xiaoyu with hesitation. They were wearing very ordinary clothes. It was especially so for Xiaoyu. In fact, one could say that her clothes were of rather poor quality. They weren't wearing any accessories and didn't look like they could afford the watch at all. Are you sure you are buying? The salesgirl in front of Jiang Shuang asked them. Xiaomi and Xiaoyu were furious upon hearing this. This was their first time in such a luxury watch shop, and it was natural for them to feel angry when being questioned in such a way by the salesgirl. Can't I try it if I'm not sure? Xiaomi replied angrily. She knew that Xiaoyu's brother was rich and could afford it. Not sure? Jiang Shuang laughed in a condescending manner. She looked at them and added, Can you guys afford it? Can't you see the price on it? You should have taken a look at yourself. If you can't afford it, it's better if you don't try it on, the salesgirl said after hearing the words of the customer in front of her. Did you see this? If you don't have the money, don't shop around here and waste everyone's time, Jiang Shuang mocked. The words of the salesgirl and Jiang Shuang made the faces of Xiaomi and Xiaoyu turn red rapidly. They were all 18 to 19 years old girls and naturally wouldn't have encountered such mockery and belittlement. Who says that we can't afford it? Xiaomi was seething in anger. Her eyes had turned a little red, from both anger and embarrassment. Tsk Jiang Shuang sneered and stood up directly. She said to the salesgirl in front of her, I'll be taking this watch on me. Please wrap it up for me. Thank you, miss. Thank you, miss. That salesgirl was thrilled and immediately walked over. I'll be paying by card. Jiang Shuang held out a bank card. Xiao Yu. At this moment, Zhao Wenrui suddenly walked over to Xiao Yu, who looked ghastly. He took a glance at the watch in the cabinet. If you like it, I'll buy it for you, but you have to be my girlfriend. Zhao Wenrui put on a strong front. He stared intensely at Xiao Yu and continued, I can give you a life that you could never imagine. All you have to do is to agree to be my girlfriend and you wouldn't have to suffer with your brother. All you have to do is to agree, and you will never have to be looked down on by a salesgirl in a shop. Zhao Wenrui revealed a confident look. He knew that his words could definitely move a girl. To him, no one would choose to not pursue a better life. As long as she was with him, he was able to provide. Wenrui. Jiang Shuang was shocked upon hearing Zhao Wenrui. Her face quickly sank and turned hideous as she walked over. Wenrui, she's just a little brat from a village. Her dressing is bad and her family is poor. Why would you? Shut up. At this moment, a cold shout pierced through the atmosphere. Even the temperature in the whole shop seemed to have fallen by several degrees. Wang Xian happened to overhear Zhao Wenrui's words when he walked in after organizing the bags in his hand. He also heard what the girl with the online celebrity's face said about his sister. This made his face twitch with anger. Brother. Xiao Yu saw Wang Xian and immediately walked to him. Her face was still a little red with embarrassment and anger. Senior Wang Xian. Xiaomi also walked over. Wang Xian looked condescendingly at Jiang Shuang and Zhao Wenrui. Thrash. Thrash that is so full of yourself just because your family is rich. Wang Xian looked coldly at Zhao Wenrui and continued, TSK. Give my sister a life she cannot imagine? With how you are currently. Do you know how much these things in my hands are? Did your parents give you enough money? Salesgirl. Get me the most expensive and the best female watch in this shop. Wang Xian placed the things in his hands on the cabinet as he spoke coldly. Clothes from Prada, bags and clothes from LV, skincare products from Lancome. All of them were the latest design. One of the salesgirls saw the 7 to 8 bags on the cabinet and was surprised. These things would most likely cost $200,000 to $300,000. All right, a salesgirl quickly replied. Sir, these are the best female watches we have. This watch has diamonds embedded at this spot and sapphire here. This watch. Payment by card. Wang Xian said as he pointed to the watch he felt looked the best. Sir, are you really going to buy? This watch costs $888,000. Are you sure? The voice of the salesgirl was trembling. Wrap it up. Wang Xian threw the card on it directly. Yes, sir. That salesgirl was thrilled. What a rich tycoon to spend $888,000 without batting an eye. Get your manager here, Wang Xian said coldly to the salesgirl. Yes, sir. That salesgirl was shocked and quickly ran to a small storage room at the back. A middle-aged woman walked out and looked at Wang Xian. With a warm tone she greeted, Sir. Thank you for visiting Patek Philippe. Is there anything you need? My sister was here a while ago and was looked down on by your salesgirl. Give me an explanation, Wang Xian said to the middle-aged manager with an indifferent tone. The middle-aged manager was shocked and frowned at the salesgirl. As an international brand, they had very high demands for the quality of service and cared a lot about word of mouth. Now this young customer who spent $888,000 without batting an eye was questioning her directly and wanted her to give him an explanation. In such a scenario, she really had to give him an explanation. Everyone around was dumbfounded. When Zhao Wenrui heard Wang Xian calling him thrash, he had wanted to retort. However, when he saw the luxury goods in his hands, he was stunned. He knew very clearly about these things. The prices of these items in Xiao Yu's brother's hand weren't cheap. He was even more shocked when he saw Xiao Yu's brother buy a female watch that cost $888,000 immediately. At the same time, Jiang Shuang was watching Wang Xian's actions in disbelief. He bought an $888,000 female watch without batting an eye. The other young men were even more shocked. $88,000. $888,000 for a single watch. This Didn't they say that Xiao Yu and her brother only had each other since young and had a tough life? This is what they consider tough. Chapter 83. What's the gap? Sir, I would like to apologize on behalf of my staff. I'll also answer to you. The manager made a bow to Wang Xian, apologizing before he turned to the salesgirl and inquired on the incident. Xiao Yu, come over, Wang Xian beckoned her. Which salesgirl despised you just now? Brother, it's nothing. She was just asking if we can afford it. If we can't, then don't bother to try it on. Xiao Yu was slightly embarrassed when she repeated the incident again. We can't even try when we're not buying? Wang Xian sneered at the manager. Of course not. Those who walk into our shop are our customers. We'll let customers try on the watches. The manager was looking woeful when he was being accused by Wang Xian. He looked at those salesgirls and asked coldly, who was the one who said no trying? Manager, I thought they were. The salesgirl whimpered as she tried to explain to her manager with a pale-looking face. Don't explain to me. If all our staff behaved like you, could we even do any business? Who told you that customers cannot try on the watches? The manager cut her off without any emotion. Pack your things. Our store has no means to keep such an employee like you. Manager, I'm in the wrong. Please give me a chance, the salesgirl pleaded. The manager frowned and looked at Wang Xian, who was watching everything with his impassive look as always. The manager gritted his teeth. Cut your words and resign now. What a snob, said Wang Xian to the salesgirl emotionlessly. The salesgirl looked over with a pale-looking face as she was filled with regret. Just then the other salesgirl packed the watch and said to Wang Xian, Sir, your watch. Wang Xian nodded his head and took over the bag before he passed it to his sister. Take it. Everyone says girls need to be pampered when they are growing up. Even though you're a grown-up now, it's not too late now. Wang Xian smiled as he handed the watch to Xiao Yu. Then he looked at Zhao Wenrui and Jiang Shuang. You think you're rich and you can act snobbish? Hey, I didn't want to say it, but you're just brats. Many people are richer than you and your family. As he said this, he walked to Zhao Wenrui and patted his shoulder. Never mess around with my sister. You're not qualified yet. If you don't know what's good for you, I'll make sure the consequences are unbearable for you. After Wang Xian finished his sentence coldly, he turned to Xiao Yu and smiled. Let's go, sister. We are still short on shoes. Oh, do you want to get a necklace? Shall we go and get one now? No, brother. Let's go. Seeing her brother standing up for her, happiness and admiration crawled all over Xiao Yu's face. Her brother had always protected her like this. In the past, he would beat up the people who bullied her. Now it was even more interesting. If anyone bullied her, he would slam them with money. Let's go. I have too many things in my hands. You'll have to carry some of them later. Wang Xian carried the shopping bags and headed outside. How did Xiao Yu's brother become a rich man? Gazing at their back views, a guy behind murmured in shock. Zhao Wenrui was looking sulky as his mouth twitched. What Wang Xian had said just now was an outright contempt, humiliation for how he was behaving on the first story just now. Yet, he did not dare to say anything. Since Wang Xian could take out $880,000 like a breeze for a watch, he could be someone formidable in the river town. He dared not rebuke as he was afraid Wang Xian would find someone to hurt him. Jiang Shuang, on the other side, gazed at the back of Xiao Yu with jealousy. Why does Zhao Wenrui detest herself and like Xiao Yu? Why does she have such a formidable brother? She took a glance at the watch she bought with heartache. Her face paled when she thought of the expensive watch Xiao Yu's brother had bought without thinking. It was futile to make a comparison. Okay, brother. We've got enough stuff. Everything is in. After getting the shoes, they even bought a few sets of lingerie. Xiao Yu was carrying some shopping bags when she spoke to Wang Xian. Yes, everything, including the clothes, is in. Wang Xian pondered as he observed the things in his hand. We're still short a notebook, a phone, and another iPad. That should be done. Oh, Xiao Yu, what else do you need? Gosh, my dear beloved brother. It's enough. The computer and such. You will get to use the computer. There's an Apple store here. Let's go. Wang Xian interrupted her and walked out on his own. Xiao Yu looked at her brother and followed behind with a happy smile. The gadgets were not expensive. A laptop, a phone, and an iPad cost only $30,000. Brother, we're really done with the shopping. Let's put these things in your dormitory, shall we? Xiao Yu smiled as she looked at Wang Xian, whose hands were full of shopping bags. I'll get you girls a hotel. Let's put the things inside and take a rest. Wang Xian smiled and said. All right, brother. Xiao Yu nodded. Wang Xian looked around and fixed his gaze on the Summer Sun International Hotel, the hotel owned by Shui family. Come on, follow me. As Wang Xian spoke, he took the lead in front and headed towards the Summer Sun International Hotel. When Xiao Yu was at the entrance, she gazed at the hotel's name and murmured, Summer Sun International Hotel, 5-star hotel. If it were in the past, she would never allow her brother to let her stay in such an expensive accommodation. But now, she has seen how her brother behaved like a nouveau riche. Hence, she was adapting to it slowly. Babe, give me a presidential suite. Wang Xian came to the reception desk and said to the receptionist. I'm sorry, sir. Our presidential suites are all fully booked. Would you like to choose another room? The receptionist apologized to Wang Xian. Brother, Xiaomi and I can stay in a standard room. There's no need for a presidential suite. Don't waste your money. Xiao Yu tugged his hand immediately. Fine. Just get me any room. Wang Xian nodded his head reluctantly. He took out the family membership card that the Shui family gave him and handed it to the receptionist. When the pretty receptionist received the family membership card, she was slightly stunned as she was shocked to see the Summer Sun membership card. When she swiped the card on the machine, the computer immediately sounded off. Welcome our distinguished members for the family membership card. You'll enjoy the best service in the hotel. The pretty receptionist was stunned while the other two receptionists popped over immediately. They were shocked to say, it's the Homeland card. The most prestigious membership in the Summer Sun Hotel. Members will get to enjoy the best service in the hotel for free. Gosh. The pretty girl who was holding the card recovered from her shock. She immediately said respectfully, sorry sir. Our hotel has reserved a separate presidential suite dedicated to the members of the Homeland card. I'll take you there now. Sure, thanks. Wang Xian nodded. You're welcome, the pretty receptionist replied immediately. Xiao Yu and Xiaomi were staring at Wang Xian with surprise. Chapter 84. Getting a car one. Brother. This hotel you. When Xiao Yu saw the enthusiastic or rather respectful actions of the front desk receptionist, she couldn't contain her curiosity and asked. Oh, this hotel belongs to a friend of mine, the Shui family. They also have another holiday resort by the sea. This membership card was a gift from them. With this, everything will be free in this hotel and the holiday resort. Moreover, we will be able to enjoy the best service. Wang Xian explained to Xiao Yu nonchalantly. I'll find some time to bring you guys over to the holiday resort to play after tomorrow. It's pretty good. It's also a 5-star holiday resort. Xiao Yu's mouth opened and had a shocked expression. Seeing her expression, Wang Xian caressed her head and said, There's nothing your brother can't settle in Rivertown in the future. Therefore, don't be scared. Be confident because you are my sister. Brother, you are so awesome now. Xiao Yu's eyes shimmered as she stared at him. I guess I'm doing pretty all right. Wang Xian smiled. Mr. Wang, we are here. This is a room we use to receive our most important guests. There will also be a personal assistant. If there's a need, you could press the service bell and your personal assistant will arrive within 2 minutes. The beautiful female front desk receptionist brought them to the highest floor after opening the door to a room. All right, thank you. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked in. The entire apartment consists of 3 rooms and a living hall. The decorations were extremely luxurious, and one could see the beautiful city center by simply drawing the curtains and looking out. Wow, what a huge room. Xiaomi looked around with surprise. Not bad. You guys could stay here tonight. Wang Xian put the things down, sat on the sofa and poured a cup of water for himself. Take a break for now. It's only 3 p.m. Let's go get something else in a while. We are still getting more? Brother, we already have all the things we need. Xiao Yu sat beside him. She held on to Wang Xian's arm and said, "Brother, you are so nice to me. Great that you know your brother is nice to you. Take a 10-minute break. What we are getting in a while will be useful to me too. Moreover, I have said that we are going to spend all the money on the card." Wang Xian smiled. After taking a short break, Wang Xian brought Xiaoyu and Xiaomi out and called for a car. "Sir, please take us to Chiyun Street," Wang Xian said to the driver. Taking a look at the car exhibition, the driver smiled at them and asked, "Car exhibition?" Wang Xian was surprised and asked, "Sir, is there a car exhibition today?" "Yeah, don't you know about that? I thought you were going to the car exhibition. Today's the last day of the exhibition. There are quite a number of people at the car exhibition. And a lot of beautiful models." The driver raised his eyebrows. "Oh, are there a lot of cars on exhibition?" Wang Xian asked. "Yeah, how could there not be? There are lots of supercars. The scale of this car exhibition is really big. You will know once you see it in a while." The driver nodded his head. Cheyun Street was where the 4S showrooms for cars in Rivertown were gathered. Anyone who wished to buy a car in Rivertown would typically come to this place. After alighting the car, Wang Xian brought Xiaoyu and Xiaomi and looked ahead. In the direction they were facing, there were many banners hanging around. The biggest one of all read Rivertown 5th Car Exhibition. The exhibition hall was huge and one could see many people shopping in it. There were cars of various brands on display. "Let's go and get you a car. The reason why I've asked you to learn to drive in the summer is so you could become brother's driver." Wang Xian chuckled. "Oh, how could you let your sister be your driver? You are so thick-skinned." Xiaoyu rolled her eyes at him but still followed Wang Xian in. "Isn't that because I have no time to get a license?" Wang Xian laughed and walked ahead. There are quite a number of people at this car exhibition. There are a lot of models here too. Wang Xian looked around and saw many people. Some were looking at the cars while many others were looking at the car models. In front of each car brand there were 3 to 4 car models. These car models were wearing seductive clothes that complemented their great figures. The cleavage they were showing added heat to the already hot summer. There were also quite a number of people taking photos, amongst which many were taking photos of these car models. Wow, there are so many people in cars. Xiaoyu and Xiaomi looked around them and were observing the surroundings in curiosity. This car's look is so beautiful. Right ahead of Xiaoyu and at the entrance, there were several luxurious cars that were worth several million on display. Xiaoyu pointed to a Rolls-Royce and exclaimed, "Rolls-Royce Phantom. This car costs at least $6 to $7 million. Wang Xian looked at the Rolls-Royce and was getting a little excited too. Men always had a love for supercars. Therefore, it was only natural that he would like such a domineering-looking car. However, he didn't have a license and couldn't drive a car. And the Rolls-Royce was clearly not suitable for Xiaoyu. "Let's go take a look around," Wang Xian said to them before walking further in. "Wow, this sports car is so cool." Xiaomi's eyes lit up when she saw the Lamborghini beside her. "Yeah. However, it would probably be hard to drive if the road conditions are bad." "That Benz ahead looks pretty domineering. Benz G Series, the love of every man. Senior Wang Xian, why don't you get a car like this? It would be so cool." Xiaoyu and Xiaomi looked at the same car fervently as they commented raucously. Wang Xian simply smiled and agreed with what they were commenting as they looked through the collection of cars. This car exhibition was indeed pretty large scale. One could easily see international luxury car brands in this exhibition. Wang Xian was trying to decide on a car to get for Xiaoyu. He had looked up information on this a few days ago. For a girl, a Maserati would be more suitable and a top-end Maserati would cost less than $3 million. Nonetheless, he still wanted Xiaoyu to make her own decision, and would like to see what she would like to drive. "Wow, that car is so stunning. Yeah, it's really stunning and it's pink. That's simply beautiful." At this moment, Xiaoyu exclaimed and walked ahead. Xiaomi's eyes followed Xiaoyu as she walked over too. Wang Xian lifted his head and looked over. It was a pink Bentley Continental. A look at it was enough to capture the hearts of any young girl. The elegance and luxury of a Bentley paired with its pink color made it a classic car that fair, rich and beautiful woman would prefer. Seeing Xiaoyu's excited expression, Wang Xian followed behind. Wow, stunning. A Bentley. A Bentley is very expensive and would cost at least a few million. Nonetheless, this pink Bentley is really breathtaking. Yeah. However, driving this car around would be a little too eye-catching. Xiao Yu and Xiaomi were discussing and couldn't help but take out their phones to take a few photos. Wang Xian simply smiled by the side and didn't comment. After looking at this car for several minutes, these two girls continued walking forward. At the display area of Maserati, Xiao Yu and Xiaomi exclaimed in unison. Girls typically preferred this car brand. And this car model was also more suitable for a girl to drive. Chapter 85. Getting a car too. Those are the common brands inside. Wang Xian, Xiao Yu and Xiaomi were shopping around the car show. All the luxury cars were placed at the entrance. As they walked further in, the cars in the show were mostly low to mid-range brands. The three of them walked one round briefly. Which car looks better? Asked Wang Xian to Xiao Yu with a smile. In terms of appearance, the pink Bentley is the nicest. Maserati is pretty, but if we're getting a car, I suppose a BMW or Mercedes-Benz will do, said Xiao Yu to Wang Xian with a smile. Come with me. Wang Xian nodded and smiled. He thought that since he was still left with over 4 million in his card, it should be enough to get that pink Bentley. When they returned to the pink Bentley, many people were gathered around, and the majority of them were ladies. The pink Bentley gave off youthful vibe amid elegance. Indeed, it was attractive to the ladies. Hubby, when you have the money, you can get me the pink Bentley, right? No problem, wifey. Tomorrow. If I got the lady of luck tomorrow, I'd buy it for you. Tomorrow? Hubby, why do we have to wait till tomorrow? I bought a lottery ticket, and the result will only release at night. If I win the first prize, we can come and collect the Bentley immediately. You go to hell. When they walked over, they overheard the young couple's conversation. Everyone around them was smiling amiably. This car is lovely, but it's too expensive. The entire car would cost 2 million. Alas. A middle-aged man who dressed like a successful businessman in his suit shook his head. It's Bentley. Even slightly cheaper ones will cost 3 million. The price of this pink Bentley can buy 2 decent houses. A girl next to the car mumbled as she could not stop taking pictures of the vehicle. Many people fancied the car, but they were being put off by the price. 2 million. Wang Xian observed the car carefully. He made a decision after he noticed that Xiao Yu took a fancy to the car. Hey, handsome. Wang Xian called upon the salesman who was standing next to the car. Sir, how may I help you? The young salesman looked at Wang Xian puzzledly and asked with a smile. Can we do a test drive? As Wang Xian asked, he took out a bank card. We'll buy it immediately if we're satisfied with it. That young salesman was slightly taken aback as he looked at the bank card in Wang Xian's hand. Immediately he replied, Sir, hang on. I'll get my manager here. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. Brother. After the conversation, Xiao Yu tugged Wang Xian's arm and shook her head. Brother. This is too expensive. Besides, it's too striking. I told you to finish the money on the card. After getting this car, the card should have about $30,000 left. Just nice for your pocket money. Wang Xian chuckled. You still have more than 4 million on it? Xiao Yu's eyes were agape with her lips slightly parted. She looked cute with her shocked look. This afternoon they had already spent almost $300,000 on their clothes and bags. After paying for a watch that cost nearly $900,000, the card still had more than $4 million on it. Gosh, he's a nouveau riche indeed. Diamond card from the Agricultural Bank of China. To get that card, you'll need at least $5 million in your account. Someone is really buying the pink Bentley. He's rich. This is the true blue nouveau riche. Buying a Bentley for his sister. Why don't I have such a good brother? He's the rich second generation. I'm sure. It seems like they spent the money on the card in just a day. Oh gosh. The crowd stared at Wang Xian shockingly. A slender and tall figure with good-looking appearance. At the same time, he had a unique demeanor which gave off a noble vibe. But the two girls beside him were somewhat ordinary even though they were pretty. After all, there were too many pretty girls in this era. Oh. Xiao Yu, your brother is filthy rich now. He is actually buying you a Bentley that is over $4 million. If you drive this to school, I really can't imagine. Xiaomi shook Xiaoyu on her arm as she spoke with her eyes bright. Xiaomi, do you think I've become rich overnight? Asked Xiaoyu dumbfoundedly. You're a swan that turns into a phoenix now. I envy that you have such an awesome brother. Xiaomi said with envy. Hee. Xiaoyu chuckled as she wrapped her arms around Wang Xian's arm. Sir, are you buying this car? At this time, a middle-aged man was taking big steps as he followed beside the young salesman. With enthusiasm, he asked Wang Xian. Yes, but can we do a test drive? Wang Xian asked. Money is not an issue. We'll buy the car immediately if there's no problem. Sure, of course. The middle-aged manager answered without the slightest hesitation. He knew that the young man had the buying power. Great, where can we do the test drive? Asked Wang Xian. Sir, there's a place outside just for test driving. I'll accompany you guys there. The middle-aged manager replied immediately. Okay. Wang Xian nodded and looked at Xiaoyu with a smile. Let's go for a test drive. Brother, I've only had my driving license for a few days. What if I damage the car? Xiaoyu said with a bitter face as she did not dare to drive. She knew the repair cost of the car would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's okay. The manager next to you will remind you. Besides, the car is insured after you buy it. If you hit the car, just repair it. Wang Xian smiled as he spoke without much thought. The manager next to them chuckled when he heard Wang Xian. Yes, babe. Don't worry. There was another sentence that he did not spell out. Nouveau riches are rich. You don't need to worry. Fine. Xiaoyu nodded her head and walked to the car. The middle-aged manager sat in the passenger seat to drop reminders to her. Wang Xian and Xiaomi were seated at the back seats. Here, babe, I'll do an introduction. The middle-aged manager got into the car and began introducing the various functions of the luxury car to Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu listened with flickering radiance in her eyes. The functions of this car were not what the cars in the driving school could compare to. Let's go. We'll take a drive out for 2 laps, the middle-aged manager said with a smile. Xiaoyu took a deep breath and spun to look at her brother. Don't worry and drive on. Don't be scared, Wang Xian said with a smile. Yes, brother. Xiaoyu nodded and drove out cautiously. She was driving with care as she had just gotten her license. But after 2 rounds of the test drive, she got her smile back on her face. Driving a luxury car was better than driving those ordinary cars. To a certain extent, it was a comfortable ride. Wang Xian looked at Xiaoyu's smile and turned to the middle-aged manager sitting at the passenger's seat. I'll get this car. Prepare all the paperwork for us. Sure, we promise to get you all the paperwork done today. The middle-aged manager was excited as his eyes were beaming. Sir, I'll return to the showroom first. You can take a seat over there while waiting. Sure. Wang Xian nodded. They drove the car back to the car show and followed the manager back to the 4S showroom. Director Cui, you're here. The Bentley showroom was spacious, and the decorations were extravagant with various luxurious Bentley cars in it. After they entered the showroom, the manager saw a middle-aged man speaking to a couple with polite smiles. He was slightly stunned as he hurriedly greeted them. Yes, I just arrived. Director Cui nodded and said, Manager Zhao, young Master Lin is buying that pink Bentley. Please help him with the paperwork. Manager Zhao revealed a shocked face and said hastily, Director Cui, a customer was about to pay for that car. Is it sold? The young man beside Director Cui knit his eyebrows slightly. Young Master Lin, not yet. When Director Cui heard the young man asking, he quickly replied, This car was prepared for you. How can we sell it? As Director Cui spoke, he looked at Manager Zhao. Let the customer know that the pink Bentley is already sold. We can recommend other cars for them. Chapter 86, Smash. You don't have to inform us. We have overheard everything. Wang Xian frowned upon hearing their conversation and walked over slowly. Director Cui was slightly shocked and looked at Wang Xian in surprise. However, he quickly recovered and maintained a smile on his face. I'm really sorry about this, brother. But this pink Bentley has been ordered by someone. If you would still like to have it, You could wait a month and I'll get the Bentley headquarters to custom make one for you. There should be a sequence in buying a car. When we want to buy it, this car hasn't been sold. Now that we are about to buy it, you're telling me that it has already been booked? Isn't this out of line? Are you fooling with me? Wang Xian looked at Director Cui and spoke indifferently. When Director Cui heard his words, his eyebrows knitted together. He was also wary of offending Wang Xian, as one who could afford a car over $4 million definitely wouldn't be a simple man. However, he was more wary of offending the young man beside him. Let's do it this way, brother. Why don't you take a look at other models of car, or perhaps you could wait for a month. I'll get one made for you from the headquarters. Director Cui looked at him and said. You can say this to the young man beside you, Wang Xian replied. Wang Xian's reply made Director Cui's face sink. His eyebrows were closely knitted together. In that case, I'm sorry, brother. There's nothing I can do. This car has already been booked by another customer. You haven't even paid for it. He's free to sell it to whoever he wants. What's there to quarrel about? The beautiful girl beside the young man looked at Wang Xian and said, clearly annoyed. That pink Bentley was for her, and she naturally wouldn't allow anyone to snatch it away from her. The young man looked on nonchalantly and didn't say a word. That's not wrong, but I'm not happy about it. Wang Xian smiled and said slowly, I'm a consumer and I'm not here looking to suffer such unjust feelings. There are many unjust things in the world. What can you do about it? Hey, brat. It's good for you to go through these experiences. The young man sneered when he saw how Wang Xian reacted. Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and looked to the manager and Director Cui. We are here to buy a car and not for this. After trying out for so long and being just about to buy, you're telling me it has been booked? Moreover, it's clear that the other party hasn't bought it yet. Hey brother, we are the seller. When Director Cui heard his words, his expression got even heavier. We are free to choose who we would like to sell to. Don't you hear them? They are free to choose who they want to sell to. What are you blabbering about? Annoying. They have already said that they aren't selling it to you. The beautiful girl at the side crossed her arms and remarked sarcastically. Great, great. A cold look surfaced on Wang Xian's face as the anger in him had built up. He was angry over what Director Cui had said. After trying the car for half an hour and being just about to pay for the car, he was told that the car had been sold to another person. Moreover, they weren't the slightest bit apologetic about it, saying that they were free to sell to whoever they chose was the final straw. Whoever encountered such an incident naturally wouldn't feel good about it. In that case, I'll let you pay a price for it, Wang Xian remarked coldly. Since they had made him unhappy, he would also make them unhappy. Price? When Director Cui heard him, he smirked coldly and stared at Wang Xian with contempt. I would like to see what price you could make us pay. TSK, get out of my shop immediately. So arrogant? I wonder where he was from. Young Master Lin looked at Wang Xian from the side. Don't be so arrogant in Rivertown. Otherwise you might not even know how you will die. I sure would like to know how I would die in Rivertown. The vibes of a divine dragon started spreading from his body gradually. Brother, let's just let it go. I'm not interested in this car anymore. Xiao Yu looked at the crowd around her. She started feeling a little worried and pulled Wang Xian's arm. When Wang Xian heard her sister, he released his aura and joked. Xiao Yu, just stand aside and watch. I'll let you see what your brother is capable of today. There's no one we need to be afraid of in Rivertown. Brother. Wang Xian caressed her head before turning his attention to Director Cui, young Master Lin and the girl. Didn't you hear me? This is my territory. Get out of here, you brazen brat. Director Cui met Wang Xian's gaze. A newborn calf isn't afraid of a tiger. An arrogant brat like you would suffer a terrible death. Young Master Lin lit a cigarette and looked at Wang Xian as though he was watching a show. In that case, let's see if I will have a terrible death. Wang Xian smirked and noticed a large hammer used for repairs at one side. He walked towards it directly. Brat, what do you think you are trying to do? When Director Cui saw Wang Xian go and pick up the hammer, his expression changed as he roared loudly. Young Master Lin also raised his eyebrows and stared coldly at Wang Xian. What am I trying to do? Since you made me unhappy, I'll just have to vent it out a little. Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile and he turned his attention to within the shop. There were approximately 10 Bentleys in the shop. He carried the hammer and walked to the nearest one to him. Bang! The hammer smashed heavily on the Bentley, forming a huge dent from the ginormous impact. Director Chui's expression turned ghastly upon seeing Wang Xian smash the Bentley. Bastard, stop it right now. Otherwise, I won't hold back. I'm going to smash this shop and would like to see what will happen to me. Wang Xian glanced at him with murderous intent. The hammer in his hand smashed down on the Bentley once again. A huge dent appeared after a single smash. After smashing the Bentley 4-5 times, the Bentley looked completely wrecked. However, Wang Xian didn't stop and simply walked to the next Bentley to continue smashing. Stop! Call security. Get the security over here and kill him. Seeing that Wang Xian had smashed 2 Bentleys, Director Chui's eyes had turned red in anger as he roared loudly. The young man by the side threw the cigarette on the floor and stared at Wang Xian callously. Wang Xian smiled plainly and said, "After I've smashed all the cars, do show me what will happen to me." Currently, Wang Xian wasn't afraid of anyone in Rivertown. Qin family's influence could help him settle anything in the society. As for the underworld, he was even less wary of anyone. Bam bam bam. Incessant thumping pierced through the atmosphere. Wang Xian had already smashed 5 Bentleys when the security guards arrived one after another. Stop! You better stop! When the 4 security guards saw Wang Xian smashing the Bentley, they were shocked. These are Bentleys that cost over $3 million each. Yet he dared to just smash. And he had already smashed 5 of them. Wang Xian saw the group of security guards and smiled. He threw the hammer in his hand on the floor and stared at the red-eyed Director Chui. Come, I have just smashed 5 cars. Let me see what will happen to me. Bastard, you are dead. You are as good as dead. Seeing the fearless look on Wang Xian, he pulled out a phone directly. He didn't call for the police but dialed another number. The young master of the Ren family was here, and it seemed that young Master Ren wasn't in a good mood. If he knew that there was someone causing trouble here, he would definitely cripple the troublemaker. The Ren family was strong and had interests in half of the 4 showrooms. This place was just one of them. It's over. This brat is as good as dead. Chapter 87, Renanji's Actions. Renanji was feeling despair and had been irritated these past few days. When he recalled what had happened the few nights before, he felt immense fear. His elixir field was destroyed, and now he had become a useless man. The one who ruined him was a half-step to inborn expert. He shuddered at the thought of the old man and the young man. He told his father, the current master of Ren family. When his father heard about this incident, he almost killed him to make amends with that expert. But under the persuasion of his mother, his father gave up the thought eventually. His father wanted to bring him along and apologize to them, but he gave up the thought as his father did not wish for anyone in the family to find out about this. If other elders in the family found out that he'd gotten into trouble with such a formidable expert, he would be beaten to death to atone for his sins even if his father did not do so. Blood and brutality filled the world of ancient martial arts. Even though Renanji escaped the calamity, his cultivation was totally ruined. Initially, he had the chance to inherit the family as the leader, but now it was completely out of the question. His elixir field was completely destroyed, and it was only possible to recover with the help of an inborn expert and some medicine. Obviously, the Ren family was not capable of inviting an inborn expert to treat him. After he lost all his cultivation, he was sent to one of the organizations in the family to manage some businesses. Damn, if it was not for those 2 idiots, would I have ended up in such a state? Renanji was sitting in the office staring at his computer. When he recalled what happened that day, he was fuming. If it was not for those 2 idiotic brothers-in-law, how would he have ended up in such a state? However, the 2 of them were also leading a tough life. Their limbs were crippled, and they had to spend the rest of their lives in wheelchairs. Besides, his brother-in-law's family also compensated him with half of their assets. However, no matter how much money they compensated him with, it could never be enough in exchange for his cultivation. Buzz. Just when Renanji was feeling vexed, the phone suddenly rang. He displayed an impatient look when he saw the caller's name on the phone. Speak out now. Renanji screamed with an unpleasant expression. Director Ren. I'm sorry to disturb you. Something happened in our showroom. Someone smashed 5 of our Bentleys. 5 of them. That person even taunted us. What? Director Chui's voice stunned Renanji for a while. He raised his voice with rage. Has the person left? Renanji darkened his expression as he asked with radiance flickering in his eyes. Not yet, Director Ren. He's still in the showroom. Great, I'll be there. God damn it. He's asking for it. Renanji revealed a killing expression. He was feeling grumpy, yet someone dared to make trouble in his showroom. That person was going to be a piece of dead meat. In the entire Rivertown, everyone knew that the Rivertown 4S showroom had the backing of the Ren family. What a fucking fellow. Renanji stood up immediately with a cold expression as he walked to the showroom. He was going to teach that outrageous fellow a hell of a lesson. Lad, you're doomed. I'll make sure you regret what you did for the rest of your life. Just you wait. You're dead. Back at the 4S automobile showroom, Director Chui spoke to Wang Xian with a hideous look once he got the reply from Director Ren. Director Chui, who did you call just now? Young Master Lin asked with doubt when he heard how Director Chui addressed the person on the line. I called Director Ren, the son of the Ren family, Director Chui answered. He continued coldly, Director Ren will be here in no time. You are dead. The son of the Ren family? Young Master Lin was surprised as fear filled his eyes. Ren family was a huge and influential family in Rivertown. Lin family was far more inferior to them. The son of the Ren family was definitely not someone he could compare with either. Director Ren will be here in no time. You're dead. Young Master Lin looked at Wang Xian as though he was a dead man. The pretty girl beside young Master Lin grabbed his arm and scorned at Wang Xian. Lad, you're too arrogant. You actually bashed their cars when they didn't want your business. How ill-educated you are. Wang Xian swept his cold gazes when he heard them. His flickering gaze fixed on the pretty girl and young Master Lin. Just then, a voice suddenly cut the air before the person could arrive. Who the hell dares to create trouble in the Ren family's turf? Are you sick of living? When Director Chui heard the voice, his eyes flashed with happiness as he hurried over to greet the person. Director Ren, that fellow is inside. He's simply too arrogant. He bashed our cars when we didn't want to sell the car to him. Director Ren, you must teach him a lesson. Director Chui explained as he ran. With a cigarette in between his fingers, Renanji was looking cold as he saw Director Chui running to him. He nodded his head and walked inside. After he entered the showroom, he froze when he saw a young man, leaning haughtily against a Bentley. Hello, young Master Ren. I'm Lin Feng. When young Master Lin saw Renanji, he quickly went over and greeted him. Yet Renanji could not hear what Lin Feng was talking about now. He could see darkness in front of him as if he had fallen into the abyss. This young man. He would never forget him. His serene smile. His taunting look in the eyes. He recalled that night when even that domineering half-step to inborn expert had to listen to his commands. He felt suffocated. Why is it him? How could I be so pitiful that I have to meet this devil-like young man again? Renanji shuddered in his shoes when he saw the curious and playful look in that young man's eyes. Director Ren, he's the one who smashed 5 of our cars. Director Chui pointed at Wang Xian as he howled angrily to Renanji. Renanji paused his breathing, and his expression changed dramatically when he heard Director Chui. Fuck you. Are you trying to get me killed? Renanji jumped up and slapped Director Chui hard on his face. He almost exerted all his force on it. If his internal energy was still around, Director Chui could be dead with that slap. Renanji looked at Wang Xian with bitterness as he trotted over. Boom! Next, Renanji did something that shocked everyone. He ran over and knelt in front of that young man. That's right. He knelt, and the sound of getting down on his knees was loud. Everyone was blown away by Renanji's series of actions. He slapped Director Chui hard. Then, he ran over and knelt before the young man. He was the young master of the Run family, the son of the leader of Run family. Moreover, the Ren family was ranked as the number 2 ancient martial artist family in Rivertown. Yet, when he was confronted by the young man who smashed their cars, he actually ran over and got down on his knees. He got down on his knees. Chapter 88. Feared like a demon, revered like a god. Young Master Wang, I didn't know it was you. I have nothing to do with this. It's all these damned guys who offended young Master Wang. I have nothing to do with them. Young Master Wang, I'll apologize to you. We are at fault in this incident. I'll apologize. Wang Xian had initially wanted to wait for the person Director Chui had called before calling Old Qin or trying to settle it by himself. However, it was beyond his expectations that the person who came was Renanji. He naturally remembered him very clearly. He was from the Ren family. Previously, he was asked by Longxian Restaurant to burn down his first-grade restaurant. At that time, he was crippled by Mo Qinglong directly. What he had never expected was that Director Run, whom Director Chui was talking about, was none other than Renanji. Seeing Renanji kneel down beside him, on the verge of tears, Wang Xian was speechless. Am I so scary? Is it fine for a guy to act like this? If Renanji knew what Wang Xian was thinking currently, he would definitely cry out loud. How is he not afraid? Not only are you horrifying, but you are also the embodiment of the devil. Damn it. With a half-step to an inborn expert as subordinate, how horrifying your background is. A single kick from you is sufficient to finish off the Ren family. If I let my father know that I just offended this devil again, I'll probably be killed by him. I was wondering who Director Chui would call. So, it happens to be someone I know. Wang Xian looked at Renanji. He rubbed his nose and found this to be a little hilarious. Young Master Wang, I didn't know it was you either. If I knew, I wouldn't have dared to come, even if you beat me to death. I wouldn't dare to. Renanji was shivering as he broke into tears. Since we know each other, I believe this matter could be settled easily. Wang Xian looked at him, smiled and squatted down. Young Master Wang, we are at fault in this. I'll apologize. I'll kill Director Chui as apology. Please calm down. Renanji trembled at the sight of Wang Xian squatting down. He was completely petrified. At the other end, Director Chui, who got slapped so hard that he bled, finally started to recover from the shock. However, when he heard what Renanji said, he blanked out and lost consciousness. The security guards around couldn't help but swallow their saliva as they witnessed this unbelievable twist of events. When young Master Lin and the beautiful girl beside him saw this, their eyes were in a daze and their faces paled. Even Xiao Yu and Xiaomi were dumbfounded. Wang Xian looked around before turning to Renanji. I'm not an unreasonable man. You can be the judge for me. Young Master Wang, please carry on. Please carry on, Renanji replied immediately. Yeah, this is how it happened. I brought my sister here to buy a car, and we had our eyes on a pink Bentley. After trying it out for several rounds and making the decision to buy it, Director Chui told me that the car has been sold. He said that the car was pre-booked by that young Master Lin and wouldn't sell to me. However, it was clear that at the moment we were trying out the car and had confirmed that we wanted to buy it, this car wasn't sold yet. In other words, I wanted to buy it first, but he sold it to another person. Tell me if you would be angry about it if you were me? Moreover, Director Chui wasn't apologetic at all and asked me to get out. That young Master Lin and the beautiful girl beside him even said that I was arrogant. I was courting death and was uneducated. Hey, tell me now, can you blame me for what I've done? I can't blame you. We are at fault in this. Young Master Wang. I'll definitely give you an explanation that you could be satisfied with. When Renanji heard Wang Xian finish his illustration, he gritted his teeth and replied quickly. He repeated, Young Master Wang, I'll definitely give you an explanation you could be satisfied with. Rest assured. It's those damned brats who have not followed the rules. Yeah, they are the one who did not follow the rules. I'm not an unreasonable person. Wang Xian smiled. nodded his head and extended his hand over to pat Renanji's shoulders. Oh, young Master Wang, please don't. When he saw Wang Xian extending his hand over, he thought that Wang Xian was meting out punishment. His face paled as he begged for forgiveness. However, he suddenly felt a warming feeling from his elixir field. To his pleasant surprise, he noticed that his elixir field was recovering gradually. This made him stare at Wang Xian in disbelief. I'm a very reasonable person. As long as you don't offend me, I wouldn't offend you. Wang Xian patted on his shoulders and smiled. Renanji felt the power returning to his body. His face turned red in agitation and his mucus was almost spit out. Thank you, young Master Wang. Thank you, young Master Wang. Renanji was kowtowing to Wang Xian. He was unexplainably agitated as he had not expected that this devil in front of him, no, this godlike young man could heal his elixir field. He had never expected this to end in such a fortunate way. Wang Xian smiled, stood up and signaled for him to stand up. Renanji stood up immediately and stood beside Wang Xian with his head lowered like a servant. For these Bentleys that I've smashed, put it on the tab of Director Cui and that young Master Lin. Also, young Master Lin and the beautiful girl beside him threatened me, saying that I wouldn't even know how I died. I leave them to you. Wang Xian smirked as he turned his attention to young Master Lin and the girl beside him. Rest assured, young Master Wang, leave this matter to me. I'll definitely not disappoint you. Renanji lifted his head and guaranteed solemnly, since they dare to offend young Master Wang, I'll let them know what is meant by not knowing how one died. Renanji was speaking very loudly. Young Master Lin and the beautiful girl beside him could definitely hear him clearly. When they met Renanji's murderous stare, they felt a shudder down their spine and were petrified. Young Master run, don't. It's our fault. Please, young Master, run. Young Master Lin's voice was trembling and he looked horrified. Renanji looked coldly at young Master Lin, smirked and said, How dare you offend young Master Wang and behave arrogantly in front of him? Just wait and see. We will have a good time together. Young Master Ren, you can't do this to me. It's my fault. Young Master Wang, it's all my fault. I didn't recognize that it was you. I deserve death. When Lin Feng heard the words of Renanji, he was completely flustered. He looked towards Wang Xian in horror. In his eyes, this young man was the equivalent of a devil. He was petrified. Even young Master Ran kneeled down in front of him and begged for forgiveness. Just a word from Wang Xian was enough to make young Master Ran decide to mess with him. Looking at how young Master Ran behaved, he might very well be killed. His body was trembling as he begged for forgiveness. The beautiful girl beside him had turned as white as sheet, and her whole body was shivering. Who the hell did I offend? Wang Xian glanced at them without emotions. In the eyes of those who offended him, Wang Xian was feared like the devil. Similarly, he could also make others revere him like a god. All of this depended on his mood. If he was in a bad mood, he could cripple Renanji. Renanji's actions made him satisfied and he could cure him with a wave of his arm. Feared like a devil and revered like a god. With regard to the control he had, Wang Xian enjoyed it greatly. Your life or death is all in my hands. Everything shall be as I wish. Chapter 89, Your brother is a legend. Young Master Wang, I've got the paperwork done for the car. Here's the key. No, young Master Wang, I cannot take your money. Just take it as a gift from me. Thank young Master Wang for treating my injuries. Take care and goodbye. Back in the showroom where the Bentley 4S showroom was, Renanji was thanking Wang Xian with respect and enthusiasm. Wang Xian smiled when he saw his look. Good, I'm going off now. Young Master Wang, take care. Renanji continued with a polite smile. Wang Xian nodded and handed the car key to Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu, you'll drive. Let's go. Oh. Xiaoyu nodded. She took over the key hurriedly and unlocked the pink Bentley. They'd gotten the luxury car without paying a single cent on it. Wang Xian sat in the car and watched smilingly at his sister who drove the car out. Renanji watched as the car dove away. He wiped the sweat on his forehead with a complicated expression on his face. What a domineering existence. I wonder if I should feel fearful or lucky to meet someone like him. Whatever it is, never provoke him. Never. He could destroy you when he is unhappy and heal you easily when he is in a good mood. Radiance flickered in Renanji's eyes as he spun his head around slowly. He gazed at Lin Feng and the pretty girl, who were standing at the entrance. Just then Lin Feng slapped the girl furiously. Because of her, he'd provoked that terrifying existence. Lin Feng, count yourself unlucky to have provoked young Master Wang, Renanji said with icy-cold eyes as he walked in slowly. Not many people knew what had happened in the 4S showroom. Those who knew did not dare to spread the word around. Gosh, aren't they Xiao Yu and her brother? However, a group of young people saw what had happened just now not far away. They saw Xiao Yu driving out with a brand new pink Bentley. It was a high-class luxury car Bentley. Jiao Wenrui, Jiang Shuang and the rest watched in surprise as the pink Bentley disappeared before them. Her brother is rich. He actually bought her a Bentley. That luxury car costs about $5 million. Gosh, this is incredible. Too incredible. Several young people could not help but exclaim. They never thought that Xiao Yu's brother was that awesome. Jiao Wenrui stood there with a mixed expression of fascination and awkwardness. Jiang Shuang was dumbfounded. Apart from being jealous, there was nothing else left for her. Bentley. Her dad was unwilling to buy a Bentley for her. Senior Wang Xian, you're way too suave. The person whom Director Cui called was so terrified of you. He even gave us a free car. Back in the car, Xiaomi spoke to Wang Xian with admiration. Brother, you have become so awesome now. Xiao Yu exclaimed too. Haha, don't you know who your brother is? Your brother is a legend. Wang Xian laughed and replied loudly. Xiao Yu also beamed. My brother is the best. Where are we going now, brother? It's almost evening time. I'll take you to my restaurant for dinner. Wang Xian looked at the time. He gave Xiao Yu the directions too. Restaurant? Brother, where's your restaurant? Is it near the school? Asked Xiao Yu curiously. Yes, it's near the school. After talking to Xiao Yu and Xiaomi, the car reached the entrance of the old street half an hour later. Cars are prohibited inside. You've got to park the car in the parking lot, Wang Xian told his sister. Yes, brother. After they walked out of the car, Wang Xian began to introduce the old street to them. This street is known as the Old Street. You can shop for stuff and have your meals on this street in the future. My restaurant is inside. As they walked, he introduced the delicious breakfast places and some street food to his sister. Xiao Yu nodded her head continuously as she asked questions curiously. Holding her brother's arm, Xiao Yu felt relaxed and happy. This is my restaurant, Wang Xian said to Xiao Yu when they arrived at the entrance of first-grade restaurant. Both of them looked up and were slightly stunned when they saw the restaurant's name. First-grade restaurant, such a familiar name. Xiao Yu murmured. Xiao Yu, isn't this the restaurant that gained popularity on the internet lately? It was known to be the country's best restaurant. Xiaomi thought of the news she read recently and spoke in surprise. Yes, I remember. First-grade restaurant. Brother, never did I expect that the first-grade restaurant belongs to you. This restaurant is famous now. Xiao Yu stared at Wang Xian and cried out in surprise. Come on in. I'll treat you to a big feast tonight. Wang Xian chuckled as he led them inside. Director Wang. Boss. As soon as the greeters saw him, they immediately greeted him. Okay. Wang Xian nodded at them as he looked inside. It was only 6 p.m., and there were almost 80 people in the queue. It was not hard to imagine the popularity of the first-grade restaurant. Director Wang. Upon seeing the arrival of Wang Xian, Manager Huang hurried on his way over. Did you reserve the seat I asked you to? I'm going to treat my sister to dinner. Get the kitchen to prepare 2-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, and Chinese bahaba fish gelatin. On top of that, prepare some specialty dishes too, said Wang Xian to Manager Huang. Yes, the seat has been reserved for you. I'll get the kitchen to prepare your dishes. Manager Huang nodded as he swept his gazes across Xiao Yu and Xiaomi behind him. Finally, he fixed his gaze on Xiao Yu. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. Then he went into the office and got Guan Shuqing out. Xiao Xian, is this your sister Xiao Yu? Asked Guan Shuqing with a smile. She walked out and spotted Xiao Yu, who looked somewhat alike to Wang Xian. Yes, this is Xiao Yu and this is her best friend. Xiaomi, this is Guan Shuqing. And she's your senior from now on. Wang Xian nodded. Hello Xiao Yu and Xiaomi. Guan Shuqing grinned as she waved and greeted them. Hello sister. Xiao Yu looked at the beautiful and elegant Guan Shuqing. She leaned to Wang Xian and whispered in his ears, brother, is she my sister or sister-in-law? What are you thinking? Wang Xian patted her head. Let's go for our dinner. Brother, I've realized that I'm simply too happy right now. With good food and nice clothes. Hee. I'm so happy to be attending university. My Xiao Yu will be the little princess from now on. Brother, you are wonderful. Enough of the sweet talk. I'll send you back after dinner. You've been running around for the entire day. Rest well tonight. Report to school tomorrow first thing, and I'll bring you out again. Wang Xian and Xiao Yu grinned at each other. Guan Shuqing was also gazing at them with a smile on her face. Chapter 90, Starting School. The time to report to the university had arrived, and the students turned up at the school one after another. Today was the first official day to report for the freshmen. Nonetheless, the Year 2 and Year 3 students were also rushing back to school. Just like the freshmen, the Year 2 and Year 3 students also had 3 days to report to school. However, there were some students who were responsible to receive the freshmen and had to arrive before their reporting dates. By around 10 in the morning, the entrance of the school had gradually seen students gathering. Moreover, there were cars parked everywhere in the vicinity of the entrance of the school. Scenes of parents bringing their children and walking into the university were common. Several young faces were carrying their luggage while looking around constantly at the campus where they would be spending the next few years of their lives. A pink Bentley drove over and stopped beside the school, drawing the attention of a substantial number of students. Let's find a place to park the car first. The school forbids us to drive the car into the school today. Wang Xian looked at the surrounding cars and spoke to Xiao Yu, who was driving. For the first 3 days of school, many parents would drive their children to school. In order to prevent congestion, the school forbid cars from entering the school. All right, brother. Xiao Yu nodded her head, found a spot and parked the car. Let's go. I'll carry the things and lead you all to the reporting area. After which, we will head to the dormitory to unpack your luggage. Wang Xian said to Xiao Yu and Xiaomi as he dragged along their luggage. Other than some clothes and their laptops, they didn't have many other things in their luggage. Blankets were all issued by the school. After locking the car, Xiao Yu and Xiaomi followed behind Wang Xian eagerly as they looked at the school in front of them with anticipation. Xiao Yu had changed into the new clothes she'd bought the previous day. It was a beautiful long dress from Prada that revealed her fair arms. On her wrist was a watch from Patek Philippe which cost over $880,000. She didn't put on any makeup and had a natural, confident and beautiful smile. If Xiao Yu was a swan the previous day, she was a beautiful phoenix today. An action or a single smile was enough to attract others' attention. It seems like our University of Rivertown will have another beautiful girl. Wang Xian looked at Xiao Yu and joked. Hehe, brother. I have always been an adorable and beautiful girl, chuckled Xiao Yu. Let's go and report. After which, we are going to the dormitory to put down your things. Wang Xian said as he led them to the reporting area. Xiao Yu and Xiaomi had the same specialization and therefore Wang Xian brought them to the same reporting area directly. There were teachers and students sitting at the reporting area. Seeing Xiao Yu and Xiaomi walking over, one of them spoke to Xiao Yu. Junior, take out your enrollment notice and show it to us. I'll get some students to bring you to your dormitory and inform you of the location of your classes. All right. Xiao Yu and Xiaomi took out the notice letter, while the student at the side checked for the information of their allocated dormitory room. Wang Yu, room 303. Zhang Xiaomi, room 305. I'll get some students to bring you there. Let me go, let me go. When one of the boys saw Xiao Yu and Xiaomi, his eyes lit up as he volunteered enthusiastically. It's all right. I'm Wang Yu's brother and I'm also from this school. I know the location. I'll bring them over. Wang Xian stood behind and smiled upon seeing the enthusiastic senior. In university, seniors were like wolves and juniors were little lambs. Many seniors would wait for the arrival of the juniors, ready to pounce when the opportunity arose. Wang Xian dispelled the ideas of that senior immediately. That guy looked at Wang Xian and was speechless. Let's go, I'll bring you guys over. Wang Xian smiled and led Xiao Yu and Xiaomi towards the dormitory. So beautiful. That junior is really beautiful. Behind them, the enthusiastic guy looked at the back view of Xiao Yu and remarked sadly. Luan, I think you should just give up on that idea. The girl sitting in front of the table said to the guy with contempt. Wang Mei, what do you mean by that? Why did you ask me to give up on the idea? I'm known to be attractive. You should take a closer look at that girl. The Prada dress is at least $30,000 to $40,000. Her shoes are at least $4,000 to $5,000. More importantly, if I didn't make a mistake, the watch on her wrist was the latest female model from Patek Philippe and costs more than $800,000. How would such a fair, rich and beautiful girl be fond of you? The girl replied with contempt. That guy was dumbfounded and swallowed his saliva. She's so rich. Xiao Yu didn't pick up the comments from the girl behind her. She was full of smiles while observing the surroundings of the school. Wang Xian stood by her side and was explaining to the girls about the school. This is the female dormitory. Let's go to the 3rd floor. The first few days of school were the only days when a guy could enter the female dormitory legally. Wang Xian brought them to the 3rd floor. This is 303. Xiaomi, 305 is right there. Wang Xian pointed to another room and said to Xiaomi, We aren't in the same room. Xiao Yu commented grumpily. It's fine. We are still staying really close to each other. Xiaomi smiled before continuing. I'll go unpack my luggage. You should hurry too. Xiao Yu nodded her head and entered her own room. Each school dormitory room was for 4 people. The beds were at the top while the study desks were below the beds. When they got in, they noticed that the other 3 girls had arrived. Oh, the last lady is here too. Everyone is here now. All 4 of them. When they just stepped in, a rough manly voice chuckled. Hi, uncle. Xiao Yu looked over and smiled radiantly at the ordinarily dressed middle-aged man. Hi, uncle. Wang Xian also greeted and looked to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had an honest smile on him, and was probably from the rural areas. However, people like this were also the easiest to get along with. Hello. The girl beside the middle-aged man greeted Xiao Yu and Wang Xian shyly. The girl looked young and was very shy. Her eyes were bright and had an exquisite look. Her dressing was a little old-fashioned, a classic example of a village girl. Nonetheless, she looked natural. Hello, I'm Wang Yu. This is my brother Wang Xian. My brother is also from our school and is in year 2. Xiao Yu smiled. I'm Yuan Yuan Yuan. Yuan 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 smiled nervously. Come, let's chat after unpacking. The middle-aged man smiled and said as he extended his hand over to help. It's all right, uncle. We don't have a lot of things to unpack. We can handle it ourselves. Wang Xian smiled and replied. All right, there's still some space here. The middle-aged man laughed. Wang Xian nodded his head. There was a blanket on the bed that wasn't spread open. Wang Xian crawled up the ladder to prepare the bed. As for Xiao Yu, she remained at the bottom to sort out her clothes and computer. They didn't have a lot to unpack and therefore finished quickly. When they were done, the other 3 girls had also finished tidying up with the help of their parents. Come, try some sweet candies from our hometown. We made them ourselves and they taste really good. The middle-aged man took out a bag of snacks from his bag. After opening it, he passed it to the people around him. Come have a try. It's delicious. Chapter 91 Spoiled Girl. Okay. Thank you, uncle. Wang Xian and Xiao Yu took a look at the stuff that the middle-aged uncle passed over. Both of them smiled and took some when they saw the fried brown sugar inside. We don't have much at home. So, I got my daughter to bring some of the hometown specialty for her classmates. Here, try it. The middle-aged uncle gave a good-natured smile and passed on the food to the other two families. Another two girls came with their parents. One of them was slightly plump and so were her parents. Given their dressing, their family must not have been too poor. The family closer to the balcony was obviously a wealthier family. The girl was tall and slender with a good-looking face. She wore a large white tee with hot pants, revealing her fair thighs with a tattoo on her leg. Her lips were brightly colored with lipstick. Her mother's dressing was trendy and she maintained her figure well. Her father had a slight beer belly with a lavish dress sense, just like the way bosses would dress. Thank you. The family members of the slightly plump girl nodded to the middle-aged uncle with a friendly look as they took some of the food. It's okay for us. The mother of the tall and slender girl gestured. You guys have it. We'll skip. Try them. Don't stand a ceremony. They are tasty. The middle-aged uncle raised his voice as he laughed. The taste is really good. Wuxia tasted some and nodded his head smilingly. I told you. This is our hometown specialty. But we've got a secret recipe so they taste better than the rest. When the middle-aged uncle heard what Wuxia said, he beamed as he explained happily. He raised the bag to the family who had declined earlier on. No, really. The plump middle-aged man took a look at the cheap and unrefined plastic bag, frowning as he gestured his rejection. It's okay, try it. I'll pour you some for you to taste it. The middle-aged uncle stood up to share some of the food with them. I told you not to, however. An impatient voice sounded off at this time. The middle-aged uncle froze with an unnatural expression on his face. You kid. The lady spoke as she glared at her daughter. She laughed and said, Fengya is not someone good with words. Uncle, give it to me. It's delicious. Wuxia chuckled as he stood up when he saw the middle-aged uncle was somewhat embarrassed. Great, go ahead. It's nothing. Hee. The middle-aged uncle squeezed out a smile on his face, pretending that he did not hear what that girl had said. He rubbed his palms together when he saw Wuxia was eating. Feeling embarrassed, he said, My daughter Yuanyuan is a little shy. I hope her classmates will take care of her, and that they'll get along well with each other. If you wish to have more sweets, let me know. I'll get Yuanyuan to bring you some. Yes, my daughter is Suqian. She has a sweet tooth. Next time, you and Yuanyuan must get along with each other. Along with other roommates, Suqian's mother said with a smile. Yes, let's get along with each other. The middle-aged uncle chuckled and nodded. My sister and I are studying in this university. But I'm a year 2 student now. If you need any help in Rivertown, you can look for me. Wuxia smiled. Young lad, you're also from the same school? You must be incredible since both of you made it to the University of Rivertown together. Suqian's father exclaimed in surprise. Yes. Wuxia chuckled. That's good then. The middle-aged uncle agreed with a beaming face. We're local people over here. Fengya knows nothing. I hope the rest of the roommates can help her out, the mother of the tall and slender girl said smilingly. Who said I know nothing? The girl pouted in dissatisfaction. What do you know, kid? Do you know how to do your laundry, wash the toilet? The lady stared at her. The girl was slightly displeased as she took out a box of ladies' cigarettes and lit one. Cut the smoking and get along well with your roommates. The plump middle-aged man looked at his daughter before he turned to look at the rest. My kid is pampered. I hope the rest of the roommates can help out in things like cleaning. Thank you. What he said caused the parents of Suqian to frown, but they did not make any remarks. The middle-aged uncle said nothing either. Wuxia raised his eyebrows and looked at the girl who was smoking. He then turned to her father and asked, Since you are a local, why doesn't she just stay at home so that it is convenient to take care of her? Wuxia was hinting. Our house is far from the school. It would take about an hour to come here from home. The middle-aged man smiled and said. Oh. Wuxia nodded and continued. I think the 4 ladies should be responsible for the things in their room. They should do their own cleaning and keep their own things. The room is not big. It won't be tiresome to do these. And, Wuxia looked at the girl who was smoking and said, It would be best not to smoke in the dormitory for girls. That will affect other people. The atmosphere suddenly froze after Wuxia spoke. The middle-aged lady frowned immediately. The girl who was smoking was staring unhappily at Wang Xian. You're right. My daughter is too pampered. What has my smoking got to do with you? You're such a busybody. At this time, the girl who was smoking suddenly glared at Wang Xian and rolled her eyes at him. Fengya, how can you say such things? I told you to get along with other roommates. The lady told her daughter off hurriedly. But when she turned to them, she said, It's just a lady cigarette. It won't stink. The middle-aged man darkened his expression. He looked at the time and stood up suddenly. It's going to be noon. I'll treat all of you to lunch. It's also a kind of destiny for the kids to be sharing a room together. Let's have lunch together. Yes, let's have lunch together so that the kids can get to know each other, the lady by the side agreed. Well, the parents of Su Qian hesitated as they looked at the middle-aged uncle and Wang Xian. Let's go and have something outside. The middle-aged man stood up again and said. Okay, then let's have lunch together. After much consideration, Su Qian's parents agreed to it. Sure. The middle-aged uncle also agreed. But apparently they had a bad impression of that family and that girl. Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and stood up with Xiaoyu. Humph. The middle-aged man and the lady took the lead and walked out first. Their daughter followed behind. When she walked past Wang Xian, she stared and snorted at him. Wang Xian looked at her as he raised his eyebrow. Brother, this girl is not easy to get along with. Xiaoyu stuck her tongue out to Wang Xian as she whispered. Let's go. We can talk over lunch. I also want to see what they want by treating us to lunch. Wang Xian sneered. Chapter 92. Who dares to say it's not appropriate? Dad, just leave your things here. It's all right. I'll be going off directly after the meal, and will not be coming back. I still have to head to the construction site, at the latest by tonight. All right then, Dad. Be careful at the construction site. The middle-aged man and Yuan walked at the back of the group. Her father was carrying a gunny sack with some living necessities in it. Wang Xian turned his head over, smiled at the middle-aged man and asked, Uncle, are you working in Rivertown? Yeah, I'm working at a construction site. Yuan happened to be in Rivertown and I thought I'd drop by since it's near. The middle-aged man smiled. From his gunny sack, he took out a box of cigarettes. Son, do you smoke? No, I don't. Wang Xian shook his head. It's good to not smoke. It's good. This isn't a good thing. The middle-aged man smiled and put back his cigarette. The group of people headed out of school. The middle-aged plump man and lady were constantly instructing their daughter on some matters. Su Qian and her family walked together with Wang Xian and the middle-aged man, chatting along the way. Xiaoyu and the other two girls seemed to have gotten along well as they smiled and chatted. The group of people headed towards Old Street. Although it was already September, the sun was still very vicious. However, they weren't too far and the whole journey took only 5 minutes. Let's go. I'll bring you guys to the most famous restaurant in the country, first-grade restaurant. For a simple meal, the plump, middle-aged man turned his head around and said to the crowd. First-grade restaurant? Is it the same first-grade restaurant that is insanely popular on the internet recently? Su Qian's father exclaimed with amazement. Yeah, it's that first-grade restaurant. It is also the most luxurious restaurant in Rivertown. The middle-aged plump man smiled and nodded his head. With pride written on his face, he continued, a meal would easily cost several thousand. Let's head there. Our kids will be roommates in the future, and it's also fate that brought us together. It's too expensive. Let's just find another place and have a simple meal, Yuan's father quickly remarked. It's all right. It's just a meal. Let's go. This meal is on me. The middle-aged plump man waved his hand nonchalantly as he walked ahead. When Xiaoyu heard where they were going, she raised her head and looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled at her but simply followed behind the middle-aged plump man, who seemed to feel that he was above others, towards first-grade restaurant. This is the most well-known first-grade restaurant in Rivertown. Come, let's go in. At the entrance, the middle-aged plump man spoke to the group and led them in. Welcome. As they entered, the greeters remarked passionately. "Are there still tables available?" the middle-aged plump man asked. "There's only one more left at the main hall," the greeter replied. "Your business is really good. It's not even 11:30 am. Let's go in." The middle-aged plump man led the way. Wang Xian and Xiao Yu also followed the group in. "Director." When the two greeters saw Wang Xian, they were surprised. Just as they were about to greet him, Wang Xian immediately waved at them, signaling for them to not greet. Wang Xian simply followed behind the middle-aged plump man. The two greeters looked inquisitively at him and didn't continue. "Look, these are world-class ingredients. Hey, so incredible." The middle-aged plump man looked at the world-class ingredients as he smiled and explained. Yuan's and Su Qian's father walked over inquisitively and were shocked by what they saw. "Let's go. Let's have lunch now." When the middle-aged plump man saw their expressions, he nodded his head in approval and walked further in. Art. At this moment, a scream sounded from the side. "My clothes! What are you doing? Don't you open your eyes when you are walking? Look at what you did to my new clothes." Following this, a sharp shriek pierced the atmosphere. Wang Xian looked over in surprise and saw a tall girl sweeping her hands on her clothes with contempt. She had a ghastly expression on her face. I'm sorry. The middle-aged man quickly turned around and apologized when he saw the stain on her t-shirt. "Why are you carrying this? Why did you carry such a dirty bag to eat? Don't you know that this is a high-class restaurant? You!" The girl was furious and launched a barrage of insults at the middle-aged man. "What's the matter, Fengya?" The lady by the side looked over and asked, concerned. "Mom, look at my clothes. These are new and cost over $2,000. They're stained now." The girl replied furiously. "Uncle is walking in front of you. You probably knocked into him when you were distracted from playing on your phone." Wang Xian looked at this unreasonable girl and spoke with an unfriendly expression. "If he didn't carry this, how would I knock into it?" The girl stared at Wang Xian. "We are in such a high-class restaurant to eat. Tell me, why did he bring along such a damned bag? Why is my father's bag a damned bag? It's clear that you knocked into him." Seeing the girl insulting her father furiously, Yuan's face turned red and she wanted to speak up for her father. "Do you know where we are? This is first-grade restaurant. You group of country pumpkins. Have you ever been to such a high-class place? Can this thing be brought in?" The girl retorted angrily. "All right, Fengya. It's just a little dirty and it will be fine after washing." The lady by the side quickly interrupted. "Who says that first-grade restaurant doesn't allow him to bring this in?" Wang Xian looked emotionlessly at the girl before turning around and seeing the nervous and lost middle-aged man and the unapologetic lady with her husband. "Shouldn't he know that he shouldn't bring such a dirty bag here?" the girl rebutted. "What poor upbringing! You knocked into him and yet tried to blame him for it?" Wang Xian spoke to the girl coldly. This time, he had no intention to be polite and shouted directly. "What are you saying? You are the one with a poor upbringing. Have you been here before? This is one of the highest-class restaurants in the entire country. Can this damn thing be brought in?" The girl pointed at Wang Xian. "All right, Fengya. Stop it. Brat, you should stop too." The middle-aged plumped man frowned and shouted. "Shut up." When Wang Xian heard his words, he was enraged. He had never thought that he would encounter such a unique family. "Who said that you cannot bring a gunny sack in? Tell me. It's the fault of the parents if the child makes a mistake. Teach your daughter well." "Brat, since when are you qualified to criticize my daughter?" The lady exploded upon hearing Wang Xian. "What's wrong with complaining a little after my daughter's shirt got stained? Besides that, is it appropriate for him to carry a gunny sack here? He can if he wishes. Why is it inappropriate? In this place, who dare to say it's inappropriate?" Wang Xian looked emotionlessly at them. At this moment, the quarrel between Wang Xian and them had drawn the attention of the surrounding crowd. Manager Huang was shocked to hear his boss's voice. He immediately ran over. "Director Wang, what happened?" Manager Huang walked to Wang Xian and asked nervously after seeing his fuming boss. Chapter 93. Get out. It's okay. Wang Xian shook his head to Manager Huang, who came in and checked on him. Then he turned to look at the middle-aged lady and her daughter. With a cold voice he said, "The first-grade restaurant is my restaurant. What's wrong with my customers carrying a bag when they are dining in my restaurant? Tell me who forbid the bag to be carried here? You know it very well yourself if your daughter is ill-mannered. She was spoilt by you. But I'm telling you this. You can pamper your daughter, but others will not. So don't boss people around. No one is giving in to you here. If you have a temper, I'll beat you till your temper is gone." Wang Xian looked at Manager Huang impatiently and said, "Throw the three of them out. I get annoyed when I see them." "Yes, Director Wang." Manager Huang nodded his head and looked at the three of them. In a cold tone he said, "Please leave the first-grade restaurant. Otherwise we'll chase you out personally." "You?" The middle-aged couple was stunned with mixed expressions on their faces. They did not expect that the young man before him owned the first-grade restaurant. Isn't he just a year-2 student? How could he be the boss of the first-grade restaurant? However, the manager who was staring at them coldly wanted them to get out. The middle-aged man had an embarrassing expression as he clenched his fist tightly. Their daughter was shocked to witness this, and her facial expression changed dramatically. "If you are not going out, don't blame us for it." Seeing that the three of them were keeping still, Manager Huang warned them again. "Fine, you're good." The middle-aged man stared at Wang Xian with a darkened expression as he headed out. The lady was fuming with redness flushing to her cheeks. She glared at Wang Xian angrily as she pulled her daughter out of the restaurant. The girl also stared at Wang Xian ferociously as she followed her parents. "Never did I expect that this lad is the boss of the first-grade restaurant." The middle-aged man walked out with a sullen look. His facial expression continued to change. Given the current strength of the first-grade restaurant, he could somewhat guess how influential the boss was. He was only running a construction business for a property company. Even though his status was not too low, he would not dare to provoke the first-grade restaurant's boss. Just when the plump middle-aged man walked to the entrance, he saw a familiar figure at the door. He stopped walking as an idea came to him. Immediately, he put up a smile and greeted him, "Director Sun. I wasn't expecting to see you here." "Hey, old Zhao, you're here with your family? Have you eaten?" asked a man with a smile. He was in his 30s, and he was slightly taken aback when he looked at the middle-aged man. "No, not." The middle-aged man smiled awkwardly. "I'm meeting a few business friends. Since all of us know each other, let's have lunch together." Director Sun smiled as he invited him. "Director Sun, perhaps you can help me out with one thing." The middle-aged man looked towards Director Sun hopefully with cold radiance flashing in his eyes. Director Sun and he were quite familiar with each other. To be exact, he was relying on the property developers under Director Sun for his livelihood. Director Sun was working in the property developing company as high management with waters that ran deep. His networking power was extensive as he got dozens of helpers at hand to settle those stubborn households who were reluctant to move. Apart from that, Director Sun owned 3 to 4 nightclubs, bars and KTV. Many people who were working in Rivertown had to lower themselves and address him as Second Master Sun respectfully. Director Sun could almost call the shots in the Rivertown. So what if he was the boss of the first-grade restaurant when he could ask for help from Director Sun? Help? What is it about? Director Sun looked at the middle-aged man, puzzled. "Director Sun, just now the boss of the first-grade restaurant threw us out of the restaurant. I hope you can settle this for me," said the plump middle-aged man with a bitter face. "The boss of the first-grade restaurant?" Director Sun was slightly shocked as his expression darkened when he heard it. He looked at the middle-aged man with radiance flickering in his eyes. "Why did he chase you out?" Director Sun, this is a long story. That lad was rude, and he actually scolded my daughter. This is simply too much. Director Sun, I can't swallow this down. Since you're so formidable, I hope you can avenge me. I'll repay you handsomely," the middle-aged man said with a solemn face. "You're kidding your father." Director Sun looked at the girl beside him and said slowly. "What?" the middle-aged man asked puzzledly. hearing his weird remarks. It's all right, wait for my news here, Director Sun said to the middle-aged man with a disdainful look in his eyes. Great! When he heard Director Sun's promise, sharp radiance filled his eyes. Thank you, Director Sun, for avenging for me. Tomorrow night, I'll treat you to a sumptuous dinner. Okay. Director Sun gave a gentle nod. Director Sun, please have your lunch. I shall not disturb you anymore. The middle-aged man gave a polite smile as he spoke. Director Sun nodded and entered the restaurant. Hubby, is this the formidable Director Sun that you mentioned? The lady beside them overheard their conversation and asked with a pair of beaming eyes. Yes, he's the one. The middle-aged man revealed a thrilled expression. Director Sun has promised that he would avenge for me. A restaurant owner. No matter how famous his restaurant is, he can never outfight Director Sunday. Dad, you should get someone to bash that lad up. He's too arrogant, said the girl ruthlessly as she clenched her fist tight. That's enough. The middle-aged man looked at his daughter and frowned. Can't you stop throwing your temper around? With such a character, how can you make friends in school? I wanted to treat them to lunch so that your roommates could take care of you. Now you ruined everything. But since Director Sun has agreed, that lad is either going to lose his arm or his leg. Who wants them to take care of me? I'm not befriending them. Don't meddle in my affairs, will you? And Dad, don't let that arrogant fellow get away that easily. The girl waved her hands impatiently. You imp. The middle-aged man walked out. What an ignorant fellow. Director Sun turned and looked back at the family who just left with cold-looking eyes. But I have to thank this idiotic fellow. Director Sun raised his eyebrow and grinned as he looked inside the restaurant for Wang Xian. There. His eyes brightened up as he walked to a table in the hall immediately. He still remembered clearly how the young man had shouted at the banquet that night. You might want to ask if Qin Guohui dares to say this to me. Back then everyone was shocked, including him. In particular, old Qin showed up and chased Second Master Qin out of the Qin family. Not only this, but old Qin even bowed and apologized to him. That scene left a deep impression on him. How formidable could this young man be, such that even old Qin needed to bow and apologize to him? He was only someone from high management under the ruling of Qin family. It was not an exaggeration to say that he looked highly upon this young man. Since there was a chance to fawn upon this young man, he must seize it for sure. Chapter 94. I don't have to do it myself. Uncle, please let Manager Huang keep your stuff in the office while we have our meal. On the other side, Wang Xian smiled and spoke to the middle-aged man who was still in shock. Hey son, thank you. You are a really nice person. The middle-aged man recovered and replied. His eyes were a little red from the incident. It's just a small matter. It's fate that brought us together. Wang Xian smiled at the middle-aged man. Let's go and find a seat. With regard to this simple middle-aged man, Wang Xian was fond of him. He still remembered vividly that while living with his sister and grandmother, there was a middle-aged man called Uncle Zhang who took great care of them. Uncle Zhang was a very nice guy and had been very caring towards him. He also had an honest smile at all times and was passionate about everyone around him. During the harvesting season, Uncle Zhang would always help them, as he knew that Wang Xian's grandmother couldn't take the toll. After their grandmother passed away, it was also Uncle Zhang who helped them with the funeral matters. He had even spent a lot of money because of that. I wonder how Uncle Zhang is right now? I should return and repay him for what he has done for me, Wang Xian thought to himself. The middle-aged man in front of him right now was polite, followed the rules and was similar to Uncle Zhang. A look at him and one could tell that he was a great person. I really hadn't expected you to be the boss of this restaurant. Incredible. Really incredible. To be so outstanding at such a young age. Su Qian's parents were shocked and their eyes lit up while complimenting Wang Xian. I'm just lucky. Wang Xian smiled. Come, let us all take a seat. Let's forget about the unhappy events. As for the girl with a poor upbringing, just ignore her in the future. It will be fine as long as the three of you get along well. Yeah, Su Qian and Yuan nodded their heads while looking at him with eyes of worship. Handsome and righteous. This is the type of guy that every young girl would fall in love with. Yuan, remember to get along with them. These two girls are great friends to have. The middle-aged man said emotionally while caressing his daughter's head. I know it, Dad. Rest assured and don't worry about me. Yuan was sensible and cared a lot about her father. Wang Xian smiled and said, if you encounter any issues in school or Rivertown in the future, feel free to look for me. Thank you, son. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. The middle-aged man and Su Qian's parents immediately thanked him. It's a small matter. We are all from the same school after all. Wang Xian waved his hand and the seven of them walked to a table. Young Master Wang. At this moment, a young man walked over suddenly and greeted Wang Xian. You are? Wang Xian looked at the young man who had appeared suddenly. Young Master Wang, we met once at the banquet of Old Qin. Perhaps young Master Wang doesn't remember me. This person was none other than Director's son, as he said respectfully. Oh, I'm sorry about it. Wang Xian smiled apologetically but still had doubts about his intentions. Young Master Wang, this is what happened, Director's son said immediately. I bumped into Zhao Jingshan and he told me something. Director's son saw the doubtful eyes of Wang Xian and quickly clarified. Zhao Jingshan is the slightly plump middle-aged man. I just bumped into him and his family at the entrance. You know them? Wang Xian frowned. I'm not close to him, not even close. Director's son explained immediately. Zhao Jingshan is a construction materials supplier under Qin family's property company. I'm a manager of the company and am capable of some things. He wanted me to cause you some trouble when I bumped into him at the entrance a while ago. Such a despicable person has to be punished. Young Master Wang, I suggest that I let the company stop working with him. Moreover, I'll ask all the developers in Rivertown to not work with him. What do you think of this? Director's son asked. I leave this to you. Wang Xian nodded and said to Director Sunday, thank you. Young Master Wang, you are too courteous. It's just a small matter. In that case, I shall not take up any more of your time. Director's son replied immediately with a smile. Wait a minute. How do I address you? An idea struck Wang Xian as he stopped Director Sunday. Young Master Wang, you can just call me Xiao Sun. When Director Sun heard Wang Xian stop him, he was thrilled. I'll just call you Director Sunday. Director Sun. I have something to trouble you with. Wang Xian looked at him and smiled. This is the father of my sister's classmate. He is currently working at a construction site. Help me keep a lookout if there are any suitable jobs for him. Work. Director's son was taken aback. Following which, excitement flashed in his eyes. Yes, there is, young Master Wang. We are looking for a security department head, and there are also many vacant slots in the quality inspection department, which is recruiting. The salary isn't particularly high but is still around several tens of thousands a month, Director's son remarked. He turned to the middle-aged man and said enthusiastically, Brother, come look for me. This is my name card and can I get your number? I'll give you a call after lunch. At that time I'll bring you over. The middle-aged man was stunned. Looking at this well-dressed young man, he was at a loss as to what to do. Although the middle-aged man was from the village, he wasn't silly. He could roughly deduce the ability of this young man in front of him. The parents of the girl a while ago were just a small partner of his and they were already doing so well. Currently, this even more incredible person was being so enthusiastic to him. This had completely thrown him off. This, Director's son, the middle-aged man stood up immediately. He looked at Wang Xian and waved his hand constantly. Hey son, this wouldn't do. I know what I'm capable of. It's alright if you want me to do some menial work. As for others, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's alright, uncle. You can learn while doing. If you really can't, you are free to switch to a more ordinary job. Wang Xian stood up and patted the shoulder of the middle-aged man. He looked to Director's son and said, Director's son, take down my number. If there's anything, you can call me directly. I'll contact you directly with regard to this uncle in the future. Sure. Director's son nodded his head gladly and took out his phone. Alright, let's talk again after lunch. Wang Xian nodded at Director Sunday. Sure. In that case, young Master Wang, have your lunch first. We are going for lunch too. Director Sun nodded his head and smiled. Looking at the shocked look on the middle-aged man, he added, Uncle, take a seat. It's just a small matter. Sigh. Son, you are truly a great guy. Really? Thank you. I have to thank you. The middle-aged man was so moved that he became incoherent. It's really a small matter. Uncle, you are a great guy and I was just helping you within my means. Wang Xian shook his head and continued, let's eat. If you all are free in the future, ask Xiaoyu to bring you over. Don't stand on ceremony. Thank you, Senior. Yuan replied gratefully. You're welcome. We are roommates and will be living together for 4 years. This is just a small matter. Xiaoyu held on to Yuan's arm and chuckled. Su Qian's parents, who were sitting at the other end, looked at the young man in shock. Without having to do anything, there were people coming over to help eradicate that cocky family. With just a request, he could give the middle-aged man a job that many others desired. They were convinced that they should ask their daughter to be good friends with his sister. Chapter 95. Underworld Affairs. Brother, where are we going? After Wang Xian settled the middle-aged man, Xiaoyu, Yuan and Su Qian questioned him after their lunch. It's about 2 o'clock, why don't we? Buzz. Just when Wang Xian was about to take them to the Summer Sun Resort to relax, his phone suddenly rang. Old Shui. Wang Xian took out his phone and looked at the number with surprise. Old Shui seldom called him. It was always Shui Jing who contacted him the most. Hello, Old Shui. Wang Xian picked up the phone and greeted doubtfully. Wang Xian, are you busy? Old Shui's voice was heard on the phone. Her? What's the matter, Old Shui? Asked Wang Xian curiously. There is something that I would like to discuss with you. Old Qin is with me too. I wonder if you're free in the afternoon. Wang Xian hesitated before he nodded. Okay. I'll pop by. I'll send you the address. Or I can get someone to pick you up. I can go over on my own. You can just send me the address. Sure, see you later. Wang Xian nodded and hung up. He glanced at Xiaoyu and the other 2 girls with a shrug of his shoulders. Xiaoyu, I can't keep you company in the afternoon. I've got something going on. That's great. It would be inconvenient for the 3 girls to follow you around too. Hey, besides we can check out the school too, said Xiaoyu to Wang Xian with a smile. You little one, go ahead and have fun. I've got to go. Wang Xian patted her head and followed them to the school. He came to the back of the dormitory and rode on his Harley motorcycle before he headed to the place Old Shui sent him. Wow, Xiaoyu. The Harley motorcycle that your brother is riding is so cool. Do you think I could stand a chance with him after I slim down? Su Qian looked at Wang Xian with affectionate eyes. She then looked at her plump figure with dissatisfaction. Hee, my brother seems to have a girlfriend. But if you slim down, I'm sure you will be gorgeous. Xiaoyu chuckled as she spoke. You're very kind, said Yuan gratefully as she gazed at Wang Xian who had left and Xiaoyu who was right by her side. That's enough. I wanted to get my brother to bring us out. But since he has something on, we can walk around and get some daily necessities. We should also decorate our room too. Oh, the address that Old Shui sent him was not Summer Sun Resort. It was another place. An area that was near the sea with many villas, bamboo forest estate. When he reached it, Wang Xian made a call, and Shui Jing rushed over soon after. Brother Wang Xian, you're here. My grandfather and Old Qin are waiting for you. What did Old Shui and Old Qin ask me here for? Wang Xian asked Shui Jing curiously. Shui Jing paused before he said, should be something to do with the underworld affairs. Underworld affairs? Shui Jing nodded slowly. There were 2 ecosystems in the current modern world, society and underworld. Underworld was a place for people who possessed domineering powers. Wang Xian followed Shui Jing into the villa, which was surrounded by a bamboo forest. Along the path he found a quiet stream with a small bridge that made a picturesque scene. From the wooden door, he entered into a courtyard where he could see some nostalgic and posh-looking houses. In the courtyard were some ponds with ornamental fish. Old Qin and Old Shui were sitting under a willow tree on the left, drinking their tea. Wang Xian is here. Both Old Shui and Old Qin smiled and greeted him as they saw him. Sorry to keep both of you waiting. Wang Xian smiled and sat on the seat beside them. Shui Jing was filling a cup of tea for him. I just arrived not long ago too. Old Qin smiled and shook his head. We wanted to discuss something with you today. Hence we invited you over. What is it about? Wang Xian took a sip of tea and asked. Let me explain. Old Shui straightened his posture with a solemn expression. It has something to do with the underworld. Something has been brewing in the underworld these past 2 days. Those hidden clans and sects revealed themselves one after another. I'm afraid there will be upheavals in the underworld soon. Oh, Wang Xian expressed his curiosity. Hidden clans? Hidden sects? That's right. The #1 ancient martial arts family in Rivertown, Yin family, returned yesterday after staying out of underworld affairs for 20 years. The Lingluo sect of the provincial city began their recruitment of disciples all of a sudden. Fierce battles broke out between the two sects in the north due to some cultivation treasures. A sect in the Eastern Sea announced that they will be expanding and recruiting more disciples. The Sacred Followers Guild began their recruitment too. Old Shui explained this slowly to him. Yin family? Disciples' recruitments? Wang Xian was deep in thought. Why did these hidden clans and sects start their recruitments all of a sudden? Because they wanted to compete for resources in advance. Old Shui frowned and continued. Currently, the cultivation resources are lacking. It is even scarce when we're now in the modern era. These hidden clans needed more people to search for resources, tackle other living creatures, and refine medicines. Other living creatures? Wang Xian was stunned as he raised his eyebrows. Yes, Wang Xian. You may not know these. Humans are not the only domineering ones on Earth. There are also other creatures around. Let's not go into the mysterious ocean. Numerous spirits and monsters lie in the mountains and rivers too. Creatures like sea monsters that lurk around various lakes, and the well-known monsters in the mountains are all spirits and monsters. Just like Zhonghai Lake in the river town. I'm sure you would have heard of all the tales about the sea monsters in Zhonghai Lake. Upon hearing that, Wang Xian nodded his head gently. Zhonghai Lake was a lake that connected to the sea. The lake was huge with a depth of 178 meters. He knew about the tales with regards to the sea monsters in Zhonghai Lake, but he did not pay attention to it. The tales about the water and sea monsters have always been around. But not all are rumors. They really exist. Currently, we're lacking cultivation resources. Hence, we need to find other ways to them. Just recently, someone caught some powerful creatures to enhance their own strength, and the effect was significant. Currently, various ancient martial artist families surface just to compete for these resources. The underworld will be greeted with bloodshed and brutal fights again. At that time, not only the hidden ancient martial artist families will be involved, but ancient sects might also join in too. Wang Xian listened quietly to the conversation between Old Qin and Old Shui. From the conversation, he had a deeper understanding of the cultivation techniques of the various clans and sects in this world. Currently, not only the ancient martial arts existed, but there were also ancient yoga, ninjutsu, Western bloodline art, and beast transformation art. But, in actual fact, all cultivation arts may seem different, but they were similar to each other. Towards the later stages of the cultivation, all the goals of the cultivations were the same. Wang Xian not only learned about the cultivation arts, but he also found out a lot of anecdotes about the underworld's mountain spirits and sea monsters. That's interesting. Sea monsters? Currently, my cultivation speed is too slow. Perhaps I can devour them or recruit some sea monsters to build up the Dragon Palace as soon as possible. Wang Xian pondered to himself. He was not concerned about those hidden clans which surfaced in the underworld again. He trusted himself. And the dragon sect which was developing rapidly. Chapter 96. Prime Minister Turtle 1. There was still another reason why Old Qin and Old Shui invited him over for a discussion, and that was strength in numbers. They hoped that Wang Xian would ally with them, and that they could help one another out. When Wang Xian understood their thinking, he hesitated for a moment before agreeing to the suggestion. The reason as to why Wang Xian chose to ally with Old Qin and Old Shui wasn't because of their strength. Instead, he felt that Old Qin and Old Shui were nice people and worthy friends. Otherwise, with his current strength and the powers of the dragon sect, it wasn't necessary for him to ally with them. When he walked out of the meeting with Old Qin and Old Shui, it was already 8 p.m. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before heading towards the sea. He hadn't been back for a few days and was wondering about the progress of the establishment of Dragon Sect. At the seaside, Wang Xian removed his clothes and easily jumped out over 10 meters. Splash! After letting out a light roar, Wang Xian transformed into a 5 meters long divine dragon. 5 elements divine dragon with 5 different colors. Wiggling his body, Wang Xian swam towards the island in the middle of the sea at an incredible speed. Executing water controlling techniques along the way, he arrived at the island 5 kilometers away in a single minute. There are quite a number of boats around. Wang Xian noticed a few boats around the island. The island was brightly lit and he could see some figures moving on the island. With a thought, an invisible dragon power spread towards the island. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Soon, several figures descended by the seaside. Dragon King. Dragon King. Mo Qinglong and his disciple, together with all the Dragonians, rushed over and kneeled down in front of Wang Xian with respect. Martial Artist Level 6. Not bad. To be able to reach Level 6 in such a short time. Wang Xian looked towards the group of Dragonians before turning his attention to Mo Qinglong and his disciple. Mo Qinglong had already reached the Inborn Realm, and his disciple had reached Martial Artist Level 8. What's the progress of establishing Dragon Sect? Wang Xian looked at the island and asked. Dragon King, we are right on track. In just about another month, Dragon Sect will be established. At that time, our might will definitely spread through the world. Mo Qinglong's eyes lit up as he reported. Great. Cultivate diligently. Wang Dehai nodded his head. Flipping backward, he dove back into the sea. Sending off the Dragon King. The group of Dragonians kneeled down and shouted in unison. Wang Xian went over to the Clam Girl. Clam Girl opened her shell slowly and revealed her human form. She immediately greeted him. Wang Xian nodded his head before devouring the marine animals in the sea. Bohai Sea is too shallow. The variety of fish is too limited. After devouring a small shark, Wang Xian sighed emotionally. Currently, he was about 80 kilometers from land. However, the seas were only about 18 meters deep. There were barely any schools of fish around. As compared to the other sea regions where the depth of water could reach over 1,000 meters, Bohai Sea was too shallow. If he wished to increase his level, Bohai Sea would be hard to satisfy his desire. To increase my level, it would be more effective to look for higher-level marine animals. Higher level. Wang Xian pondered. Suddenly, a place appeared in his mind. Zhanghai Lake. There was a rumor about a huge sea monster in Zhanghai Lake 4 years ago. Some people reported seeing a huge sea monster that resembled a grinding disc. It had a huge oval-shaped body. Some people caught it in a photograph where one could vaguely see a monster larger than boats surfacing from the water. However, as the distance was too far, some said that it wasn't a sea monster but just some reflections. There were also people speculating that it should be some giant sharks or similar marine animals that had swam into Zhanghai Lake. Everyone had their own explanations, and this even attracted a group of researchers. They conducted a search of the entire Zhanghai Lake, but didn't detect any ginormous animal. Therefore, this ended without a conclusive answer. However, the rumors of a sea monster in Zhanghai Lake didn't just stop there. There were still people claiming to encounter the sea monster from time to time. However, none had concrete evidence and no one had seen how the sea monster really looks. Old Qin and Old Shui talked about the sea monster of Zhanghai Lake today. In that case, there might really be a powerful sea monster. Wang Xian thought. Based on his impression, he swam quickly towards where Zhanghai Lake was located. Zhanghai Lake was connected to the Bohai Sea. However, since it was deep between the lands, many simply referred to it as Zhanghai Lake. Zhonghai Lake covered an area of approximately 20 kilometers. After passing through an entrance of over 100 meters in length and 40 to 50 meters in breadth, Wang Xian entered Zhonghai Lake. Who would have expected Zhonghai Lake to be deeper than Bohai Sea? It's at least 20 meters deep here. Wang Xian was slightly shocked. The waters of Zhonghai Lake were a little murky. Moving his body, he dove in directly. The dragon energy I needed for cultivation is too high now. Ordinary fish don't provide sufficient dragon energy. If there are higher-level marine animals, my cultivation speed would also be quicker. Wang Xian thought. Swaying his tail, he swam towards the middle. The distance of 20 kilometers wasn't far from Wang Xian. He swam to the middle and started observing the surroundings. There were few marine animals around. This was a little strange for a lake so huge. A golden light shot out from Wang Xian's eyes as he looked at the surroundings carefully. He swam in the vicinity while searching, but couldn't find anything unusual. How can there be nothing? If it is like what the people on the internet have said, the sea monster should be at least 10 meters long. I should be able to find it. Wang Xian's eyebrows knitted together, but he continued swaying his tail slowly. Growl! A dragon roar resounded in the Zhonghai Lake. Wang Xian released all his aura to announce his arrival at Zhonghai Lake. The current Wang Xian could spread his dragon power to cover a radius of 2 kilometers. All the marine animals within the area were shivering and didn't dare to budge an inch. The water of Zhonghai Lake was ravaged without cause. Growl! Wang Xian swam to another person and let out another roar. His dragon roar resounded throughout the entire Zhonghai Lake. Swish! At this moment, Wang Xian could sense something to his back. He immediately turned over and stared at the bottom of the lake. Indeed, the sea monster truly exists. Wang Xian looked forward, and in the direction he was facing, a huge animal was floating up gradually. It seemed to have been lying on the bottom of the water with its entire body sunk into the mud. As he floated upwards slowly, the mud on his body slowly fell off. The image of the giant shell became clearer and clearer to Wang Xian. On the shell, there were small sharp edges that looked like it was made from mud. So big, so big. At the front of the large shell that spanned at least 10 meters, a head slowly extended out. His head was black and had sharp edges on it. Although its eyes were black, it had a glow that could be seen through the water in the middle of the night. Roar! Who are you? He opened his mouth and let out a roar, showing creepy-looking teeth. He looked directly at Wang Xian. It has intelligence. When Wang Xian heard this dinosaur-like turtle's growl, he was slightly shocked. Spiritual turtle. Level 10. Extractable dragon energy. 123,272. A level 10 spiritual turtle? That's equivalent to an inborn realm expert. Wang Xian was shocked, and his eyes lit up with excitement as he stared at this spiritual turtle. Chapter 97. Prime Minister Turtle 2. I am the Dragon King, the world's only true dragon. Wang Xian slightly lifted his head and stared at the spiritual turtle. Succumb to me, or you'll get devoured by me. Succumb? I'm the turtle ancestor. You're just a mere dragon king, and you have the cheek to ask me to succumb to you? Ignorant. The spiritual turtle had a high intelligence as he stared coldly at Wang Xian with a tilting head. His eyes had a disdainful look in them. Even though he could sense the domineering strength from the odd creature in front of him, he was not afraid as his physical size was larger than it. Besides, he had lived for thousands of years. As the ancestor of the turtles, how could he succumb to anyone? Turtle ancestor. Wang Xian was a little stunned when he heard the spiritual turtle calling himself the turtle ancestor. It was unexpected for him to encounter a cocky spiritual turtle. If that's the case, you're choosing the second alternative. Wang Xian swung his tail gently as he gazed at the gigantic spiritual turtle. Courting your own death. Since you interrupted my sleep, I'll eat you up. The spiritual turtle opened his mouth wide as he attacked Wang Xian without any fear. He shook his body, and the mud around the area spread out. The entire region turned murky, and the visibility dropped. Earth control. Once again, Wang Xian displayed a surprised look when he saw the fluctuation in the surrounding earth. This was the most formidable marine animal that he had ever encountered. Not only did the creature have intelligence, it even had superpower. I know earth control too. Wang Xian displayed a cold smile on his face. He slightly wriggled his body, and the soil in the murky sea was filtered from the water. The soil then gathered and formed into a ball of dirt. When the surrounding water was cleared, Wang Xian saw the spiritual turtle, which had swum to a location within 5 meters away from him. A smirk surfaced on his face. Earthy Thorn. Earthy Thorn was a simple technique in his earth control arts. The current Wang Xian was still too weak, and he had yet to master his control of the 5 elements. If he grew stronger, he could control all the surrounding earth and bury everything around it. You can control the earth too. The spiritual turtle was taken aback when he saw the incoming earthy thorn. However, there was no fear in him as he lowered his head slowly. Bam! The earthy thorn landed on the durable shell of the spiritual turtle, leaving no trace on it. Go to hell! The spiritual turtle suddenly accelerated as he opened his enormous mouth to bite Wang Xian. Upon seeing the dense and sharp teeth in his mouth, Wang Xian knew that he could bite off a piece of meat from him if he were caught in it. Go and die. Wang Xian looked at the spiritual turtle with a disdainful look in his eyes. Even though he was only level 6, he had no fear when confronted by creatures who were of inborn levels. As a 5 elements divine dragon, level 10 marine animals could not pose any threat to him. Metal counters wood counters earth counters fire, and fire counters metal. The 5 elements reinforce and counteract each other. The colors on Wang Xian's body changed and turned green eventually. The Azure Dragon with Wood attribution can counteract all earth in the world. Wang Xian stretched out his dragon claws with thistles and thorns slithering and twining themselves around the mouth of the spiritual turtle. Roar! Wang Xian let out a dragon roar while exhaling a gush of green breath. As the green breath hit the aquatic plants in the surrounding area, the plants began to shoot up frantically. The water plants entangled themselves to form ropes. They slid towards the spiritual turtle and entwined the spiritual turtle. In an instant, the spiritual turtle was trapped within the woody field, which spanned across a radius of 20 meters. Such a powerful 5 elements reinforcement. Looking at the woody field that he created, Wang Xian was rather surprised. When he was in the human form, he was 5 times weaker than he was in dragon form. Hence, he was unable to create such a powerful woody field. Moreover, he was unable to interchange the 5 elements when he was in human form. Hence, he was even weaker, and his combat skill would be weaker by 10 folds. Let me go, let me go. The spiritual turtle struggled violently, but he realized that the seaweed around him was not giving way except to tighten its grip on him. Besides, the counteract of the 5 elements made it even more difficult for the spiritual turtle, with a heavy body, to break free. Turtle meat makes a great tonic. Hehe, I'll chop off your limbs and barbecue them. Then I'll cook your head for the soup. Hee. Oh no. The head cannot be used for the soup. I'll throw it away. Hehe. Wang Xian revealed his creepy teeth as he observed the turtle with a thought in his mind. I'll surrender to you. Don't kill me. Spare my life, great king. The spiritual turtle hit his head in his gigantic shell with eyes full of fear as he pleaded. Just now, I asked you to surrender to me. You refused. Now you're surrendering to me because you can't win against me? Wang Xian stared coldly. Great king, I'll give all the treasures that I've collected to you. Please spare my life, said the spiritual turtle hurriedly. Treasures? What treasures? Wang Xian quickly asked with eyes brightened up. I'll get them for you. But please don't kill me. Fine, don't think of running away. I can easily kill you. Wang Xian nodded. He was not afraid that the spiritual turtle would escape. With a thought, the surrounding seaweed retracted rapidly and turned into ordinary seaweed again. With a pair of wary eyes, the spiritual turtle looked at Wang Xian before he swam to the back. Wang Xian followed him and came to the place where he'd been just now. Ka. The spiritual turtle came to the place where he'd been and manipulated the earth below him. As he did that, individual items began to surface and float up. What are all these things? Wang Xian looked at the floating things that resembled turtle shells with shock. Trophies, king. These are my trophies. Those little turtles who fought with me were all killed by me. These are their shells. The spiritual turtle shifted his gigantic body as he spoke. Pervert. Wang Xian looked at the pile of turtle shells beside him and blew his dragon beard. Among these turtle shells, there was one that was about 5 meters in size. It must have been a formidable one before it was slaughtered by this spiritual turtle, unfortunately. King, I'm formidable, the spiritual turtle said proudly. Fine. I have no interest in your trophies. Swallow this blood essence and do not think of resisting. Wang Xian moved his claw, and a drop of dragon blood entered the spiritual turtle's mouth. The dragon blood was no longer gold in color. Instead, it was 5 different colors. The spiritual turtle closed his eyes without putting up any resistance. It's done. From now on, you'll be the Prime Minister Turtle of the Dragon Palace. The moment Wang Xian spotted such an enormous spiritual turtle, he had already made up his mind. The Dragon Palace needed a Prime Minister Turtle. Ding! You've subdued 3 marine animals and fulfilled the criteria for constructing the Dragon Palace. Level 1 Dragon Palace can be established deep in the seabed with resistance to floods and fires. It will form a region of its own. The required materials to build 100 tons of gold, 100,000 tons of silver, 1 million of brass, 10,000 of refined iron, 1 million of coral reef, 1 ton each for gemstones with 5 different colors and 1 ton of spiritual stones. At this moment, the system notification sounded off, which made him freeze. He seldom heard the system notification apart from the beginning where he had just become a dragon. Now, the system actually prompted him about the Dragon Palace. Initially, Wang Xian thought he needed to build his Dragon Palace by mastering the Divine Dragon transformation. Never did he expect that the system was building it for him. Oh! Surprise! Oh! Chapter 98 Wang Dahai. It seems like the system still has a lot of functions that aren't unlocked and only would be when I've reached a certain level. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Name Wang Xian. Race. 5 elements Divine Dragon. Able to transform into a human. Level 6. Dragon Energy 563, 421/100, 000,000. Superpower. Dominate the marine animals. Ability to rule any marine animals that are lower than your own level. Devour any form of marine animals, for extraction of dragon energy. 5 elements control. Art of Cultivation. Divine Dragon Transformation. Level 1 Dragon Palace. Not built. Required materials. 0/100. Dragon Palace Subordinates. Turtle Race 1. Clam Race 1. Lobster Race 1. It has changed. My personal information has changed. There are additional line items of Dragon Palace and Dragon Palace Subordinates. Divine dragons exist in this universe. However, I'm not just an ordinary divine dragon, but also possess a godlike divine dragon system. The cultivation of divine dragons couldn't extract divine energy by devouring marine animals. Instead, they have to cultivate diligently. As for me, due to the system, I could make use of the system to convert them directly into dragon energy. As compared to the divine dragon race, there's a huge difference. Similarly, I could build the strongest dragon palace directly through the system. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Divine dragon system was relatively more unique. It couldn't make one become an unparalleled divine dragon directly, and required that he take one step at a time. The focus of Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System was in cultivation. Only by going through each step could he become an invincible divine dragon. One should know that the strongest races of the universe weren't just the dragon race. However, he could make use of the system to become an invincible existence. But Wang Xian had a million thoughts running in his mind. In the end, he had a bitter look on his face and couldn't help but curse. Isn't the material required to build the Dragon Palace a little too much? Disregarding others, just 100 tons of gold would be an astronomical sum. 100 tons of gold would be 100 million grams. Taking the price of gold to be $330 per gram, he would need $33 billion. The $33 billion was even before he considered other materials. The total sum required to build a dragon palace would be astronomical. Wang Xian's expression darkened. He couldn't even take out 100 million currently, let alone $30 billion. Poor, I'm still too poor. Wang Xian pulled a long face and took a deep breath. This is forcing me to rule the world so as to look for the resources. Forget it. I might not need to rule the world, but I do need to earn some money. Once I have the money, the gold and other materials could be bought. It is just that spiritual stone wouldn't be easy to get. Spiritual stone was a condensed form of pure energy. However, he hadn't seen one previously. Therefore, it was most likely very valuable. Wang Xian shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He wanted to take this step by step, as it hadn't even been a month since he became a divine dragon. The money would come and so would the dragon palace. King. At this moment, the spiritual turtle disrupted Wang Xian's thoughts. Wang Xian looked at the spiritual turtle. The spiritual turtle was drastically different from when he first saw it. Its shell looked a little sturdier and wasn't like the ground beetle previously. It even looked rather majestic. Not bad, not bad. I'll call you Prime Minister Turtle in the future. Don't address me as King. Call me Dragon King. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle thanks Dragon King for the name. Sure, sure. Wang Xian looked at Prime Minister Turtle with satisfaction. Although its current appearance wasn't great, it was highly intelligent. A Prime Minister Turtle that doesn't know how to bootlick isn't a good Prime Minister Turtle. Why don't you head into the seas? Why do you choose to stay in this lake? Wang Xian asked peculiarly. It's more comfortable here and I won't be disturbed. Prime Minister Turtle answered honestly. All right. Wang Xian was a little speechless. Waving his arm, the Earth Dragon cultivation arts of the Divine Dragon transformation was imprinted in his mind. Cultivate diligently here. I'll make my move now. After finishing his words, Wang Xian headed out immediately. Time flew past quickly and he had to return. He had a fruitful night. Not only did he manage to subdue a Prime Minister Turtle, but he had also gotten an idea of the process of building his dragon palace. However, no one would have imagined that the sea monster of Zhanghai Lake was actually a large and horrifying turtle that spanned over 10 meters. When he arrived at school from the seaside, it was already past 9 a.m. Just as he stepped into the dormitory room, a rough voice sounded. What the? Old Wang, you are finally back. I called you so many times but you didn't pick up. Come. Accompany me to buy some clothes today. Wang Xian lifted his head and immediately saw a fat head extending out of the bed. Dahai, why are you so early? What a rare occasion. Wang Dahai had the same surname as him, and was a year older than Wang Xian. He weighed around 190 caddies. He had all the strengths of a fatty, such as being honest, upright, and conservative on the outside but passionate on the inside. He was the closest friend Wang Xian had in the dormitory. Wang Dahai was a local of Rivertown. Typically, he wouldn't report to school before school started. It would seem that he had arrived the previous day and was acting a little strange. I have something in mind, Wang Dahai chuckled. Looking at his horny look, it must be related to a girl. Old Wang, I'll get up right now. Accompany me to buy some clothes. Wang Dahai stood up as he spoke. Speaking of Wang Xian's nickname Old Wang, there was a meaning behind it. The story was from the beginning of freshman year. At that time there was a guy from the opposite dormitory block who liked a girl from their class. However, that girl was more interested in Wang Xian. After that guy confessed and got rejected, Wang Xian got another nickname, Old Wang the neighbor, or in short, Old Wang. Almost everyone in the dormitory addressed him as such. Buy clothes? I have to accompany my sister today. My sister has arrived. Wang Xian chuckled. Your sister Xiao Yu has arrived? Wang Dahai was a little surprised. Why don't we ask your sister Xiao Yu along? Let me ask her about it. Wang Xian didn't reject the suggestion. Wang Dahai was a great guy and had been taking good care of him. He had treated Wang Xian to multiple meals and even lent Wang Xian his motorcycle over the summer holidays. After getting Wang Xian's call, Xiao Yu replied, Brother, I'm going to take a look at the school clubs with Xiaomi, Yuanyuan and Su Qian. I guess I won't be going. Wang Xian nodded his hand. All right, have fun. I'll accompany my roommate to get some stuff. Give me a moment to wash up. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, Wang Dahai immediately jumped up and started washing up. Where are we going to get clothes? Wang Xian asked. City center. Why do you want to go to the city center to get clothes? Can't you just get them from the shops beside the school? Oh right, you haven't told me why you arrived at school so early? Wang Xian looked at Wang Dahai. Wang Dahai chuckled. He stuck his head out of the washroom and said, Let me bring you to have some fun tonight. You got a date? Is she from our school? Wang Xian asked in shock. She's a senior. It was initially last night, but she went out with her roommates for dinner. Therefore, it was postponed to tonight. Old Wang, you are lucky. Damn, why does it feel like you've gotten more handsome since the last time I saw you a month ago? If only you were a little uglier. You would then be able to show how tall and mighty I am. Sigh. It's okay, who asked me to be so kind? She said she would be bringing her roommates along. Perhaps they might find you handsome and have a relationship that lasts for a single night with you. Chapter 99 Brother Xian. As Wang Dahai nagged, Wang Xian gave a funny look. After bathing, Wang Dahai changed his clothes and made a few poses in front of the mirror. Not bad. Even though I'm slightly plump, my features are perfect, giving off a sense of security. Wang Dahai looked into the mirror as he was satisfied with his look. Will this work this time? Don't get disappointed again. Wang Xian looked at him and chuckled. Wang Dahai had an experience of dating a girl from the internet. In the end, the petite girl left after seeing him. There's hope this time. I'm sure. Wang Dahai's eyes brightened up. I met this girl before. So, I'm not afraid that she will run away after she sees me. All right, let's go. Wang Xian laughed as he went down with Wang Dahai. Give me the keys. I'll drive you. Wang Dahai told Wang Xian. Your motorcycle was damaged by me, so I bought another one. Wang Xian smiled and said. Damaged? Wang Dahai was stunned and shouted at him, if you've damaged it, just let it be. Why do you still have to buy another one? Look, you should have told me earlier. I have two at home. Why did you have to buy one? Wang Xian felt warm in his heart. Wang Dahai said these things because he knew about his family situation. Wang Dahai's family was SOSO and was considered to be middle class. They were not of high status, but neither were they poor. With a sum of $3,000 monthly allowance, it was considered an average amount. Let's go. I'll show you a new bike. Wang Xian arched his lips slightly as he brought him to the back of the dormitory. Wow, Harley. It's the Harley motorcycle. This is my dream heavy-duty motorcycle. I'll get one when I'm rich. Wang Dahai brightened his eyes as he stared at the Harley motorcycle with an envious look as soon as he was at the back. With a face full of smiles, Wang Xian took the keys and walked up. Do you want to try? Sigh, I can only look at it. This Harley costs at least a few $100,000. I wonder who the rich guy is who put it here. Envy. If tonight. Wang Dahai was talking with a face full of regrets. However, his face stiffened up as he spoke. He saw Wang Xian take out the key, unlock the bike and push it out. Gosh. Old Wang. Brother Xian. This. Wang Dahai looked at Wang Xian with astonished expressions. What's the matter? Look at my dressing. Don't I deserve this bike? Wang Xian smiled and pointed to his clothes as he put on the flashy sunglasses kept in the motorcycle. Da Vinci's clothes. It's authentic. Old Wang, did you win some lottery? Wang Dahai had just noticed the brand on Wang Xian's clothes. He jumped immediately, shocked. There is one thing that I have never told you. I'm actually an affluent second generation in disguise. I can inherit the family's assets now since I've turned 20. Wang Xian joked with a smiling face. Really? Didn't you have only one sister? Wang Dahai seemed to buy his words as he looked at him. Let's go. You just have to know that I'm not a pauper anymore. Wang Xian beckoned him and asked him to sit at the back seat. Gosh, this is so cool. Wang Dahai rubbed his palms together as he got excited. Can I try it too? You can ride around the school. But you can forget about riding it in the city center. You don't have a license. That's true. But you got to let me enjoy it during the normal days. Get lost, enjoy my ass. Brother Xian, you'll be the big brother from now on. I'm Xiao Hai. Wang Xian started the engine and rode to the city center with Wang Dehai. As soon as Wang Dehai entered the mall, he began to shop. The reserved Wang Dehai even bought a pair of golden rimless glasses. What a flashy look. Wang Xian looked at him speechlessly. Looks like you really took a fancy to the girl tonight. She's the true love of my life. Brother Xian, tonight is the night. Wang Dehai patted Wang Xian on his shoulder. It's still early now. Where are we going? Wang Xian looked at the time. Let's go back. I want to dress myself up, then recharge myself in an internet cafe. Wang Dehai was full of fighting spirit. Wang Xian followed Wang Dehai back to the dormitory helplessly. After they rested for a while, they came to the internet cafe. In the evening, Wang Dehai called the girl, but the girl asked him to wait. Wang Xian asked if the other party would stand him up tonight. Wang Dehai patted his chest and said she would never do that. In fact, the later they met, the better. Wang Xian could not figure out his train of thought, but when it was 8 p.m. the girl called him. Let's meet at the school entrance. Let's go. Haha. 8 p.m. Let's have fun tonight. Wang Dehai had shiny hair with exhilarating expressions all over his face. It's so late. Where are we going at such an hour? Asked Wang Xian speechlessly. The pub, of course. Wang Dehai raised his eyebrows. Let's go. We'll take the Harley motorcycle, and the remaining 3 ladies can take a cab. All right, let's go. As Wang Xian arrived at the entrance with Wang Dehai on the bike, the 3 trendy-looking girls were standing there. The 3 girls were all in miniskirts. One of them even wore a pair of black stockings. Temptations in the air. Rongrong, this is my roommate Wang Xian. We're heading to the place on our bike. The 3 of you will share a cab. Is that okay? He spoke with a smile. As soon as Wang Dehai saw them, he hopped off the bike before he came to a girl whose face was round. Sure. Then I'll see you at the pub. Sure, I'll get you a cab before we leave, said Wang Dehai with smiles all over his face as he acted like a gentleman. The other 2 girls next to them observed Wang Dehai before they turned and looked at Wang Xian, who was on the bike. It's here. 3 beautiful ladies, you may leave first. We'll wait for you at the entrance. As soon as the cab arrived, Wang Dehai spoke with a smile. Sure, we'll meet you at the pub entrance. The girl named Rongrong waved to him as she sat inside. Rongrong, is he Wang Dehai? He's fat. But his roommate is quite handsome. Yes, that's him. I turned him down yesterday, but he kept pestering me to hang out with him. Since we've got nothing going on today, let's go out and get high. Then let's enjoy ourselves today. I saw them riding the Harley motorcycle. They should be quite loaded. Let's have a feast today. I'm telling all of you in advance. Don't get yourselves drunk like the other day. No, we won't. That roommate of his is handsome. Do you want to seduce him later on? Damn you, I've got a boyfriend. The girls were laughing and chatting in the cab. Charge. My life happiness depends on today. Wang Dehai sat on the bike and yelled at Wang Xian excitedly. Fine for your happiness. Charge. Chapter 100 Love Bar. Love Bar was a bar on a street of Rivertown that was relatively more well-known, relatively well-received and had a relatively better atmosphere. Wang Xian and Wang Dehai reached the entrance of the bar before the girls. Wang Dehai waited by the side anxiously. Why are you so excited? You look just like a bull that's in heat. Looking at Wang Dehai, Wang Xian found it hilarious. You wouldn't understand. This is true love. If you encounter the girl you really like, you would be the same as me. Rongrong is the cutest girl I've ever seen. I definitely want her to be my girlfriend. Wang Dehai spoke resolutely. Wang Xian was taken aback. This was still the first time he had seen Wang Dehai being so serious about chasing after a girl. He patted him on the shoulder and encouraged, all the best. She's here, she's here. Wang Dehai saw them walk out from a rented car, and quickly went up to receive them. When Rongrong saw Wang Dahai, she spoke with a smile. "Let's go. We can reserve a table for the 5 of us to chat and drink." "Sure, let's go in." Wang Dahai nodded his head and the group of 5 walked towards the bar. Once they entered the bar, deafening music overwhelmed their ears. Wang Xian's eyebrows knitted together. This was the first time he'd visited a bar, and wasn't used to such an atmosphere. Looking towards the dancing platform, he saw a group of young men and women fooling around. Some were even grinding on each other. Under the faint and shimmering lights, there was a sense of vileness filling the atmosphere. Wang Xian looked at Wang Dahai and noticed that he was also frowning. The 3 girls seemed to be familiar with the place as they walked towards a long table. Immediately, the waiter walked over. "Girls, which set meal would you like to have?" the waiter asked as he handed over a price list to the 3 girls. Rongrong took a look at the price list before ordering. The $1,888 set meal. "Besides that, we want 2 bottles of Chivas Regal." "All right, please wait a moment." Wang Dahai and Wang Xian sat down. When he saw the prices on the price list, he frowned. "Dahai, a $1,888 set meal with 2 bottles of Chivas Regal of $400. That's already more than $2,600. $2,600? Wang Dahai put aside the price list and whispered, "Old Wang, since I'm here I've made preparations. If I don't spend this, how could I get the girl?" "All right then, all the best." Wang Xian smiled and patted his shoulders. "Come Rongrong. I had not expected your roommates to all be so beautiful." Wang Dahai quickly started flirting. As for Wang Xian, he simply sat quietly and observed. The waiter quickly brought over the alcohol, fruits, and nuts. Wang Xian took a bottle of alcohol and poured some for himself. After trying a mouthful, he put it down. Fake alcohol. "Handsome. Are you from the same class as Wang Dahai?" Just as Wang Xian was feeling bored and looking around, a girl sat beside him. The girl had a good figure, but her face was a little long. She gave off a vixen vibe and could be considered as good-looking overall. "Yeah." Wang Xian nodded his head before looking toward Wang Dahai. "Hey pretty. Do you think Dahai has a chance with Rongrong?" The girl thought for a while before continuing. "I'll tell you if you finish 2 more cups." "All right." Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders helplessly and gulped down 2 cups of alcohol. "I believe you can tell me now." "I don't know about it." "Haha. If Wang Dahai works hard, he might have a chance." Wang Xian was speechless upon hearing her reply. It was equivalent to not saying anything. "Come handsome, let's have a toast." That girl leaned over and had half of her body on Wang Xian. At this moment, Wang Xian could even smell her perfume. Wang Xian frowned. "I'm not good with alcohol. Just have a little." "Oh right, handsome. Do you have a girlfriend?" the girl asked directly. "Yeah." Wang Xian hesitated for a while. "I do." "Huh. You have a girlfriend? Do you mind changing one?" The girl looked at him with her pair of large eyes and even blinked flirtatiously at him. Looking at the girl, Wang Xian felt as though he was a weak little lamb. The other party had ample experiences with flirting. Although Wang Xian was being picked up by the girl, he wasn't feeling happy at all. The girl in front of him couldn't be compared with Guan Shuqing or Lan Qingyue at all. She was just like a prostitute to Wang Xian. Shameless and revealing. Wang Xian wasn't too interested in continuing chatting, and simply said a few perfunctory words in response. That girl saw how Wang Xian acted and started frowning. Contempt flashed in her eyes and she went back to her previous seat beside the other girl directly. At about 10 p.m., Wang Dahai said to Wang Xian, "Let's go to the bathroom, old Wang." "Sure." Wang Xian nodded his head and followed him to the bathroom. The girls behind them took a look at them but soon went back to playing among themselves. "How was it?" Entering the washroom, Wang Xian glanced at Wang Dahai and asked. Wang Dahai frowned. "Rongrong is pretty good, but doesn't feel like a student and was very open?" Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and added, "Yeah." Wang Dahai didn't know how to describe it and simply nodded his head. For a female university student to be so open in such a place, it was clear that she was a frequent patron. This made Wang Dahai, who was a little chauvinistic, a little uncomfortable. That's how I felt too. Dahai, you've got to think about it. I know. Let's see how it goes. It was very comfortable to chat with her. Wang Dahai replied after thinking for a moment. Wang Dahai took out a cigarette to smoke. After he was done, he signaled to Wang Xian to return. The two of them walked towards their seats. There were a lot more people at the bar than when they had arrived. This was natural, as the nightlife had just started after 10 p.m. To their surprise, they saw 4 other men when they were back at their seats. These 4 young men were sitting in their seats and chatting happily with the 3 girls. On the table, there were 5 bottles of imported wine and over 20 bottles of beer. Wang Xian and Wang Dahai exchanged gazes before finding another place to sit. Come Dahai, let me introduce them to you. This is Lingling's boyfriend and our friends. We happened to bump into them, so I asked them over. It's livelier with more people. Rongrong moved towards Wang Dahai and spoke to him with smiles. Rongrong, is this the handsome guy who is wooing you? He's not as handsome as me. A young man beside Rongrong took a glance at Wang Dahai and chuckled. You are handsome? Rongrong rolled her eyes at him. Am I not? The young man leaned over towards Rongrong. Scram. Get further away from me. Rongrong stretched over to whack him. Don't. Seeing the two of them flirting with each other, Wang Dahai's eyebrows twitched and wasn't looking well. Dahai, shall we go? Wang Xian saw everything. He moved towards Wang Dahai and spoke softly. I'm all right. Wang Dahai took a deep breath and forced out a smile. He looked at Rongrong and said, Rongrong, I'm sorry. We just received a call and have something urgent to attend to. We will be going off now. Rongrong frowned upon hearing Wang Dahai. However, she immediately remarked, in that case, get the bill before you go. All right. Wang Dahai nodded his head unwillingly. He shouted to the waiter at the corner, Waiter, bill please. All right, sir. A waiter walked over. Your total bill. Wait a minute. Get us 2 more cartons of beer and 2 bottles of whiskey. At this moment, one of the young men interrupted. All right, sir. The waiter nodded his head. After recalculating, he continued, adding those that this Mr. ordered, your total bill is $9,380. What? $9,380. Wang Dahai was shocked and looked at the water in disbelief. Chapter 101 Fight. Yes, sir, $9,308. This is your receipt. You may check. The waiter nodded and passed him the receipt. Wang Dahai took the receipt with an embarrassed look. When they started to drink, the cover and a few drinks had cost just more than $2,000. Even after a second round of drinks ordered, he calculated that it would only add up to not more than $4,000. How did it end up at $9,308? But when he looked at the drinks that were ordered while they were away in the bathroom, Wang Dahai darkened his expression. 5 bottles of alcohol that cost more than $4,000. On top of that, those fruit and snack platters they ordered added up to the $9,308. The price was clearly stated, and the pub was not at fault. Wang Xian looked at the bill and darkened his expression. Wang Dahai did not have over $9,000 with him. His family was well off, but not to the extent of getting more than $10,000 for his monthly allowances. $9,000 was peanuts to Wang Xian. He could pay without batting his eyes. But he was unhappy with what the 3 girls did. They probably treated Wang Dahai as someone who could be bullied by his generosity. It is right to treat and pay for the 3 of you, but your friends tagged along. What does that mean? Wang Xian looked at Wang Dahai, who was looking embarrassed. Wang Dahai was a person who did not want to shame himself. He could not bring himself to say something as he would rather not disgrace himself. More than $9,000. Wang Xian took over the bill and put it on the table. He told the waiter, when we were here, we only ordered drinks that cost about $2,600. We'll pay for that. We did not order the rest. The waiter looked at Wang Xian, so who will pay for the rest? You'll have to ask them that. We are only paying for what we drank. Wang Xian said nonchalantly. 3 girls and 4 young men looked over at Wang Xian. What? You want us to pay? The girl who seduced Wang Xian just now frowned at them and asked. The drinks and fruits that we treated the 3 of you to will be paid for by us. The ones that you treated your friends to should be paid for by you guys. Wang Xian stared at the girl and said, What? What do you mean by this? Upon hearing what Wang Xian said, Rong Rong stood up angrily and glared at Wang Dehai. Wang Dehai, what do you mean by this? You asked us out to the pub, and now you want us to pay for ourselves? On hearing Rong Rong's question, Wang Dehai's expression was even more awful than before. He gritted his teeth, lifted his chin, and stared at Rong Rong. I'll treat you to your drinks. But not your friends. Besides, you guys just ordered the drinks that amount to $9,000 while we were in the bathroom. Do you think I'm a fathead? Wang Dehai had finally seen the true colors of Rong Rong, so he spoke without giving her any face. Fathead. Rong Rong jeered at him. Hey, you were the one who asked us out. Now you think we've ordered too much, and you refuse to pay for it. Do you count yourself as a man? If you don't have that kind of money, don't woo any girls. $9,000 is considered expensive? Then why are you here? A girl next to Rong Rong criticized with a sharp remark. That's right, you two paupers. If you had said that you're broke, we would not have come out with you. Now you refuse to foot the bill. Are you a man? How dare you ask people out when you're acting this way? Aren't you a joke? The 3 girls took turns to mock him as they looked at him disdainfully. Upon hearing their remarks, coldness flashed in Wang Xian's eyes. He looked at Wang Dehai, who was quivering, and took a step forward. We're buying drinks for the 3 of you, not your friends. So, you need to bring your friends along to get the treats? Don't they have money? Hey lad, what do you mean by this? Are you saying that we are so broke that we have to get free drinks from you? A young man rolled up his sleeves as he stood up. He stared coldly at Wang Xian when he heard what he said. If you have the money, how about paying for what you've ordered? Wang Xian stared at the young man and said emotionlessly, We'll pay for the beginning round of drinks. You can pay for the rest that you've ordered. I finally got it. Both of you are just too broke and you guys are finding excuses to leave. If you are broke, why did you ask us out? How funny. Guys like you actually want to woo girls. What a dumbass. A girl scorned Wang Dehai and Wang Xian. Wang Dehai, I never expected you to be someone like this. Guys like you should be made known in the school forum. Let everyone witness what a pauper you are. You're broke and you acted tough by asking us out? I bet you borrowed that motorcycle of yours from someone else. Rong Rong said to Wang Dehai coldly. You, Wang Dehai stared at Rong Rong, who was unkind with her words with his eyes red. We were blind as we thought you were just ordinary students. Never did I expect that. Hee. Wang Xian scoffed and continued. We'll pay for the starting orders. Those that you added on you'll pay for yourself. Waiter will pay $3,000. The rest you can get from them. We didn't order that. The waiter frowned as he looked at the girls and the 4 young men. Hey, what do you mean by that? Rong Rong pointed at Wang Xian and asked furiously. Am I not being obvious enough? Whoever ordered the drinks pays for them, Wang Xian said coldly. Pauper, you're penniless and yet you tried to woo a girl. You're a thrash. The young man said to Wang Xian in a cold tone. Heh. Wang Xian sneered. Since you're not a thrash, you can pay for it. Damn you, I have the money. The young man took his wallet from his pocket and slammed it on the table. But I don't like what I see. I'll not pay for the bill. You guys are leaving without paying after you asked the girls out? I have the money too, but I'm not spending it on thrashes. Wang Xian put his foot on the table as he swept his gaze across the 3 girls. Eventually, he stopped at the young man and spoke coldly. Damn, are you seeking trouble? Fuck you. Didn't you find out who I am? I can beat the shit out of you guys. Fuck, you're arrogant. Let me tell you this. Today you're paying it whether you like it or not. Otherwise, I'll make sure you guys can't walk out of the door. 2 jerks are running away without paying after asking us out. Upon seeing the conceited look of Wang Xian, the young men and girls stood up and glared at him. One of the young men even removed his shirt, revealing his vest. The areas that the vest could not conceal were filled with tattoos. Fine. Wang Xian wet his dry lips. He picked up an unopened bottle of wine from the table and smashed it at the middle young man. Bam! Chapter 102. A man stopping 10,000 men. Art. A blood-curdling scream propagated throughout the bar and even overwhelmed the deafening music. Tragic, really tragic. The whole bottle of alcohol smashed into the head of a man, making him bleed profusely immediately. The other 3 young men and girls were stunned. They looked at their companion, whose head was bleeding profusely, in disbelief. Damn it! How dare you start the fight? That young man with tattoos behind his back looked viciously at Wang Xian and growled angrily. Start the fight. Wang Xian looked emotionlessly at this young man and grabbed another bottle of beer from the table. He did not make use of his great strength and did not bother to talk to them. This was because this group of people wouldn't require him to use his full strength. Moreover, he did not like to talk while fighting. Scumbags! You guys are too much. Seeing that Wang Xian had started the fight, Wang Dahai, who was standing behind Wang Xian, was initially hesitant. He clenched his fist tightly before grabbing another bottle of beer. His brother had already started the fight for his sake. How could he possibly just stand there and watch? What kind of brother would he be if he just stood by? The other few young men found it hard to accept, as they had never expected these 2 young men to start the fight the moment they couldn't agree on things. Furthermore, they were so ruthless. The moment Wang Xian saw Wang Dahai readying himself, he revealed a smile. That's how a brother should be. They should fight together, carry guns together, sleep together and visit prostitutes together. Fuck! Bastards! Don't think I'm afraid of you. The other 3 young men were looking hideous and immediately charged towards Wang Dahai and Wang Xian. However, there was no way their power and strength could be compared with Wang Xian. Bam bam! The 2 bottles of beer landed on 2 other people. As for Wang Dahai, he was 1.8 meters tall and weighed over 190 caddies. Most people wouldn't be a match for him. Therefore, the 3 young men were put to the ground easily. They must be eager to die. How dare they touch us? A young man held onto his head and looked menacing. You guys, how dare you guys cause trouble here? Rongrong shrieked and pointed to Wang Xian and Wang Dahai. Her face had turned as white as a sheet. Herb, fight, don't stop. Can't even defeat 2 when there are 4 of you? Trash. Get up and fight. The crowd in the bar noticed the fight and started cheering loudly. They were here for fun, and it was better for them when the bar was livelier. Weak and fragile. Wang Xian looked coldly at the 4 young men struggling to get up. He grabbed another bottle and taunted, "Come, let's continue. How dare you? You're going to die." The tattooed young man, whose head was covered in blood, stared at Wang Xian. He was seething with anger. If you can walk out of Love Bar tonight, I wouldn't be able to show myself here in the future. What's the matter? Who's fighting? Who's fighting? Get out if you want to fight. At this moment, 5 to 6 security guards of the bar rushed over and shouted loudly. Fuck! Wait here if you dare. Although the tattooed young men saw the security guards rushing over, he showed no fear and roared loudly. What's the matter? Still want to fight? When the middle-aged security guard heard him, he frowned and walked over. If I don't cripple these 2 brats, my name wouldn't be 5th Master Gong. The young man with the tattoo took his phone, ignored the security guard and dialed a number. The group of security guards frowned as they turned their attention to this young man with tattoos. Boss, it's me, 5th Master Gong. One of the security guards was shocked and murmured to the middle-aged man beside him. 5th Master Gong, if you are causing trouble, please get out. Don't do it in the Love Bar. The middle-aged security said to the young man with tattoos. I'll leave after crippling these 2 brats. They dare to touch me? I'll kill them. 5th Master Gong's face sank and he roared loudly. Wang Xian, what should we do now? Wang Dahai could sense the savage vibes from 5th Master Gong. He wasn't even afraid of the security guards. At this moment, Wang Dahai felt a little flustered. The reason why he joined the fight was also because he was in the heat of the moment. However, the other party was clearly calling for reinforcements and had threatened to cripple them. This made him a little scared. What should we do? It's obvious to continue whacking them before their reinforcement arrives. We couldn't be waiting for them to be here to beat us up, right? Wang Xian smiled at Wang Dehai. To Wang Dehai's astonishment, Wang Xian charged towards Fifth Master Gong directly. Everyone was shocked. They had not seen anyone who fought in such a manner. Under normal circumstances, when the other parties were all put to the ground and were calling for reinforcements, the one who started the fight would typically run or just wait. However, this young man started the fight once again. When Wang Xian charged over, he saw that Fifth Master Gong was filled with shock and disbelief. He smiled at him. Aren't you calling people over? In that case, I shall see if I can kill you before your guys arrive. The moment he finished his sentence, he smashed the bottle in his hand on Fifth Master Gong's arm. Arg! Fifth Master Gong let out a horrifying shriek. His arm had already been deformed. His face was filled with horror. He isn't playing by the rules. Continue. Wang Xian smiled again at Fifth Master Gong. Under his horrified gaze, he smashed towards the other arm. Bam! Crack crack. The sound of bottles and bones cracking propagated once again. The crowd was all shocked by the development. That young man really wants to kill Fifth Master Gong. The expressions on the other three injured young men were as white as sheets as they looked towards Wang Xian. As for the other three girls, they were lost and flustered. They cuddled together and were filled with fear as they looked at Wang Xian. Your guys are a little slow. Wang Xian smiled sarcastically as he spoke to Fifth Master Gong and grabbed another bottle. No, 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 please. Fifth Master Gong was completely petrified. He was truly afraid this time. Who the fuck dared to touch my brother? At this moment an angry growl sounded. Fifth Master Gong was thrilled and stared at Wang Xian menacingly. You are finished. You are finished. Haha. Over 10 people rushed over. Everyone in the group was burly, and a middle-aged man in front of the group looked coldly over. Bam! Wang Xian still smashed the bottle over as the shriek of pain sounded once again. Fuck, you dare to continue. The group that charged over saw Wang Xian smashing the bottle down and heard the wail of Fifth Master Gong. Among them, one burly young man dashed towards Wang Xian directly. Bam! With a simple sweeping kick, the young man that was dashing over was sent flying back and landed heavily on the sofa by the side. Instantly everyone was stunned. Expert! This young man isn't simple. No wonder he wasn't afraid of anything. Wang Xian looked emotionlessly at them before revealing a faint smile. Just a dozen people? I'm afraid this might not be enough. The group that arrived with momentum frowned when they saw how calm Wang Xian was. This young man had just sent one of them flying away with a single kick. Moreover, the man that was sent flying didn't get up after the kick. It was clear that the young man was strong. The bar quietened down suddenly as everyone looked to the young man standing in the middle. He had the vibes of being able to stop 10,000 men.